Okay, welcome then to the June 9th, 2021 meeting of the Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners. Can we begin the meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, meeting minutes from May 5th, 2021. Our last meeting.
Chairman, make a motion to accept the minutes of May 5th, 2001.
A second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any comments, corrections? None? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, permission to tie in sewer, 24 Bud Drive. Peter Euchre? Oh, okay.
So I'm Gabe Berthium, Slims and Berthium Sewer. Just give you a little background. It's kind of a weird situation. He has a septic over there. We did a Title V. House was built 2008.
Okay.
Failed Title V. So we were over there with the engineer getting ready to draw up some new plans and saw our sewer manhole out in the front. Talked to George, and Mike came over and met me and kind of threw a, asked him if we can hook in and why. I think you guys had a moratorium or something around that time, am I right? I believe, like 2008.
There's a gap in that side of Bud Drive to where it goes in the cans for water and sewer, which eventually we tied in water. Same when the sewer came to a certain point, but there is a manhole that Mike noticed he can utilize for that.
Okay.
For their.
So it is in front of the property,
Okay.
So what we were proposing was, instead of putting a new septic in, way down in the back, use the existing septic tank. It's only, 10, 12 years old. Put a grinder pump in it, force main up and around the house, and tie it back into the main out in the street. Pretty simple and straightforward. And, basically, like to do that instead of reinstalling a new septic system. So.
George?
Yeah, Mike looked at it, he approved of it, he found a way to do it. And they told him to make sure they drop a plan, which you're looking at right now, just to give an idea of what the strategy was gonna be.
Okay, that's, from there, that's what, is that the one that you just worked on?
Forced up, no,
It'll be a grinder pump, yeah.
yeah, be a grinder pump forced up into the sewer manhole. This
Okay.
house is in the corner.
Right, but from the manhole.
Yep, yeah, it's the last one on the corner.
From the manhole, it's gravity, is that the one that
Yes.
goes down through the woods
Yeah.
at
No.
Susan?
No, this is my road.
His
Yeah.
road, his Bud Drive, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at the
yeah,
end.
Yeah.
Yes, it goes
Yeah.
down my
Yeah.
road to Sandra. And then-
Sandra, that's
Yeah.
it. Wrong
Candace.
girl. Yep. Okay.
So you want to use the existing septic tank?
Yeah, so instead of installing an E1 or something, because the tank's so new, it's, structural, it's good, and then basically if there's ever a problem, it gives you reserve capacity. Like the E1s, you get a day if you're lucky, and then, I'm there pumping them out all the time. So at least
A little bit more.
with a 1,500-gallon tank, if it was older, I would say no, because I'm the guy who goes down there and fix the pumps, so. But it's newer, and, it's structurally, it's in good shape, so, and it's already all there.
The same pumps that we use, George?
Would be, well, we commonly recommend E1s or Liberties. I mean, E1 makes it easier.
I'd probably just put an E1, a grinder, like an E1. Not an E1, sorry, a Liberty grinder. I've had really good luck with the omnivores.
Yeah, they're compatible. So
Yeah, yep.
no problem with that.
Because, you guys wouldn't really be responsible anyways, so, right?
Well, no, we'd be responding in emergency only, but that's all.
Yeah.
That's-
So, the panel would be on the outside of
You'd have
that.
to get, usually we try to keep something in stock
Yep.
for E1 to give them something to,
So,
Yeah.
if
Yep.
somebody gets caught in a
kind of
pinch.
jam is what we
Yep.
try to.
But if you go with those Liberties, Windwater has those in stock anyway.
Yeah,
so-
they're pretty very
Yeah,
reliable, so.
Yeah, yep.
He'd probably respond himself in emergency, be able to get one.
That's what I was saying, call them up, they'll open up.
Yeah.
Getting to 2
And
o'clock.
then that's the beauty of a 1,500-gallon tank. You got about a week, as opposed to a day. So
That's what,
yep.
Okay,
I brought up the septic tank at first just because my
let's see.
first thought is that a big tank's it's gonna go septic before you pump it. But we don't have treatment plants, so I guess it's really Webster's concern. But
Yeah, it's a good point, but you set the floats down, so you're only talking a foot or two of liquid in there, so.
yeah, you can run it right, but I've also seen people just say, oh, well, I'll use the whole thing, so it
Yeah.
just starts up and runs once instead of 10 times a day or
Yep.
whatever. But
The only thing that I've actually seen that works really good, we've done it for some of like the group homes and stuff. We actually put a septic tank in front of the E1 pump, so it collects all the rags and everything. 'Cause you can't really control who flushes water, this and that. Saves me from the middle of the night calls. But
No Lego blocks stuck in the.
yeah, and we just pump it like a septic tank once a year, and it works pretty good. But
Make a motion
Okay.
to allow connection for 24 Flood Drive
second,
to sewer.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
are you on town water or you get a well?
There's a well.
yeah, I think there's a well there.
There's a well, it's
That's what I thought.
shown right
I
again.
remember seeing it out in front.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 houses there or something, right? Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Then the
wow.
last one did tie into water. That was my first dig, matter of fact, way back in the 20-some years ago.
Because I looked next door, and Mike said, he's like, they're tied to septic, but, the old septic's there, but he's like, no, I'm pretty sure, they tied in, so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, we did that. Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
Can I just ask, personal favor?
Sure.
Go down that road, I live on that road.
Yeah.
Do a good job paving.
Come on now. Yeah, no, that's not a problem. So, it's pretty shallow over there too. It's only, I think the main's down like 4 feet, so it's not gonna, it'll be an easy excavation, so. Yep.
Thank you.
Make sure Mike's-
Okay.
Exposing everything, make sure Mike's.
Just stay in, yeah,
Oh, yeah, no, I'll give you guys,
Call Mike directly. then.
stay in contact with the guys, so that.
absolutely, yep. Yeah, basically, we'll put a panel on the outside, so,
We just want to make sure we inspect, we know what's in the ground, so we exactly what cover everything.
yeah, we'll have the tank open and stuff, so, yep, put risers on it, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Legacy Landing, Airport Road. Yeah, got all the.
Yeah, I heard.
Mike, we got all the fees and everything, Mike told you.
Yeah, yep, I got all.
She just went over all of them. I
Just
heard.
gave them applications and everything
All right.
else, so they got everything.
Take care, guys, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this, we went into a construction meeting with the Legacy Landing people now. I guess Bob is moving off the scene and Jim is moving into the scene. The plan they have there is gonna be just quickly reviewed again by the board because it is a change of, I guess, ownership, if you wanna call it. But the plan is basically the same as it was before. We went through it again just to make sure there were enough hydrants, gates, sewer, we're gonna do
Sewer goes out to-
sewer injection pumps, they're gonna go out to Dudley Hill,
Out to Dudley
which they
Hill.
know, 22 individuals. What I just wanna get across, and I did have a quick conversation with Bob, I wanna make sure that the sewer department is not held in any type of liability for any sewer backups or extended power failures or what may have you. We did give them some other feasibility options, it was up to them, but I guess everybody's sticking with the injection pumps, which is fine. But as you know very well, when there's an emergency, people don't get the idea that the sewer department is responsible. So we end up getting the phone calls and we have to respond. And I just don't want to get into a confrontation that, oh, it's yours and we pay for sewer, why aren't you fixing it, or why is this doing this? There's just got to be some terminology writing with the association that it's yours, everything in there is yours, not our responsibility. I mean, something will have to respond, obviously, but I just don't want to get into
We're treating this as a
that.
development, so we're only responsible for the road.
I understand that, but that's not what the people look at it is. They look at it, they're paying sewer and and they have a problem, they call the sewer department. So I just want to let them have, I don't think they're going to have somebody run the place as far as mechanically to maintenance to oversee everything, but they've got to put some kind of notice together that we don't do anything in there, take care of anything. It's up to them. It's up to them.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
If I may. In speaking with what John's concerns were, there'll be an HOA, homeowners association, and there'll
Okay.
be a maintenance program to go along with that. So the first call will not be to George. It'll be from within the confines of the community.
Okay. And then, like we had said with the last gentleman there, they're gonna, we asking them to use the same pumps?
We like them to use the
E1s?
Right.
Yeah, we also would like to see if they would supply at least a spare pump availability, which we would probably keep on our shelf, just so it stays
Just
intact.
Keep somewhere, yeah.
Just so that it's available in an emergency. They would get like like say Slims or somebody to put the thing in, but we would have it in stock,
Okay.
so we know it's available for
Okay.
them. That's the deal that we always tell everybody,
I would agree to
just
that.
protection.
Okay.
Everything else in the plan was the same, basically.
Yeah, no,
No change.
everything's being just
Yeah,
sold off.
I was going to introduce Jim Haynes as the person that's going to be developing the Legacy Landing
Right.
development, and we're entered into the purchase and sale agreement that we hope will be executed this week.
Okay.
And so, in keeping with the last time I was talking with this board on March 30th, and when we were reminded or told that the permits do not automatically go with a sewer
Okay.
the development went for the sewer. It does for the water, but not for the sewer. And then the board said that if Jim or whoever bought it followed the same guidelines as was outlined with our project, if that didn't change, you were pretty sure it would transfer. So that's basically why I'm here tonight.
We just want to touch bases with
Sure.
the new folks,
Yeah.
so that there's nothing happens.
Well,
further
this
down the line.
communication is great. The
where-
meeting they had last week, that's a super idea.
That's-
The more people talk, the better things go.
They just don't want to have something happen 5 years down the road and say, well, you said,
Yeah.
or,
Absolutely.
or they did, or they never told me that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a common one that you get too. Well, he comes to us and says, well, he never told me that we had to do that, and then we end up with an issue. Okay, so what's the?
It's the same kind of houses?
No, they're actually, they're not duplexes, they're single-family detached,
Okay.
which was approved by the planning board.
Okay.
Yeah,
Same
that's-
number, same number of units, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
It doesn't matter to us if they're attached or not.
Okay, still the same number though.
Yeah.
Volume-wise, it's gonna be roughly the same.
Yes, yeah.
And just like we say, before things are dug up, when things start getting dug up, we like to have somebody there to check
Absolutely.
every step of the way,
Sure.
so we know what's there, cover.
Yep.
Do you have kind of an estimated timeline?
Yeah, we'll handle it the same as I know it's a private community, but we'll handle it the same as a subdivision. We'll be in contact with the water sewer department, the building inspector, and the town engineer will want to come and do, we talked to Jeff at the meeting on Friday. I've dealt with Graves for the last 25 years. I know everybody there, built a lot of subdivisions, so there won't be any issues with getting in contact with Graves to do their inspections.
How many families per unit, per house?
One
Single family home.
So single family?
Yeah, single family,
I
yeah.
heard a rumor that it was gonna be two or something one time, and I want to make
Yeah.
sure.
No, I think the original plan was duplexes, but then,
Exactly.
That's what I
but
wanted to make sure.
then they want to detach them. Then that's
That's separate.
planning board, that's not ours.
Yeah,
Not that it matters, but is it over 55?
it is, yeah.
There you go, Tom, you can just jump over the street.
They're going fast. There's a lot of people in that
A lot of old
bracket,
people, Dudley.
like me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the over 50, yeah.
Yeah, we're building, we
Almost over
just
60,
finished
yeah.
2, and we're building 2 more right now. Just started finishing one in Shrewsbury, and there's already been a bunch of people from this geographical location looking at model homes. The same exact houses we just built in Boylston and Shrewsbury. So it's exactly what, that population,
Yeah.
me included. I live in one of them, by the way. But it's just so convenient. And
We had interest in it. I had people calling me after the first meeting with the planning board in 2018, wanting to get on the list, asking me what they were gonna cost. I said, I don't even know what they're gonna look like, never mind what they're
Yeah.
gonna cost.
Oh, yeah, with lumber costs now.
But we're the baby
It's gonna
boomers.
change.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the,
Dramatically different from 2 years ago.
What's that?
The prices are dramatically different from 2 years ago.
They definitely are.
I know,
different
'cause
from 2 months ago?
they're doing a 40B project in Douglas, and they started out at $279, they're selling for $415 now.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the Legacy Landing?
Legacy, I'll make a motion to grant sewer connection for Legacy Landing Development, Mayapple Road,
Okay.
or is it gonna be,
Yeah, it's just basically transfer, yeah.
Water and sewer.
yeah,
Yep, okay. All right, so,
for 22 houses?
So do you want to make the motion for both water and sewer?
Yes, well, I
Just-
mean, you can do it separate if you want.
we'll do it the same.
Right. Make a motion for water and sewer, Legacy Landing on April Road, 22 houses.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Unanimous.
This is just
Welcome
your
to town.
about the deposit and
And congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's a process.
Yeah, it wasn't a cut and dry deal from the day one, but Dudley's a good town to do business in, good town to live in.
I like it.
You don't-
I moved here from Drury Square in Auburn.
I'm in front of it right now, in a second floor apartment, so I'm moving somewhere, hopefully there.
for Wednesday.
We'll have to negotiate.
I'll give you a call, I'll give you a call, and let you know when.
Perfect.
You pick the
I
color
don't
before.
know how to do it, but I appreciate
You
it.
gotta have a tub, not a shower.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jeff Faulkner.
Thanks, Ken.
Have a great day.
We signed a couple more vouchers today, so.
Okay.
They're moving.
What are we doing?
Time bond. I just said we signed a couple more vouchers.
Good evening.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just wanted to give a general update on what's been going on. I know the focus the last few months has been on proceeding forward with town meeting, but just want to bring everyone else up to speed as to the other projects going on. So the original projects that we began talking to you with, the drinking water side, Mason Road water main is under construction now. They're on Mason Road extension. They've installed about 3,000 feet in the last 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's continuing. They're going to start to do some pressure testing, bacteria testing, and then they'll start to do house service connections. And then once they finish Mason Road extension, then they'll move over to the Mason Road portion of the project.
I saw they got the sign put up last week.
Yes, there's a project sign. There'll be another one for the other two contracts as well.
Name's not on
Nope.
it.
It's that DEP one, you don't want your name on that.
Well, it would look nice.
Yeah, okay, good.
So contracts 1 and 3, that's pump station number 1 rehabilitation, and contract 3 is the tank rehabilitation. Those are probably tomorrow getting approved through SRF for awarding those two contracts. So we're working with the town administrator to sign the award letter, and we'll get the contract started so for town signature on those two.
Okay, and then we'll get piles like this.
Yes, yeah.
When are we looking at for a start on the Station 1?
So tentatively,
Timeline.
we're penciling in a June 28th pre-construction meeting on that project. So early July would be when they would actually do work
Well, there's lines for all of us.
in theory.
So June 28th is the pre-construction, so sometime after that they'll,
I think you need.
Yes,
at least the,
yep. And we just penciled in the pre-construction meeting because the
Yeah.
contracts still
The
need to be
first one.
signed.
Yeah.
So
now who won that contract?
Pump Station 1 is Dankers.
Dankers, okay. Okay.
And contract 3 is DN Tanks.
TR Tank, yep.
They're the ones that build our tank on that one.
Yep.
No, the price for the, do we have the tanks?
Was over a little, yeah.
Yeah, I thought, weren't we talking like 250,000 apiece?
Individual, yeah, somewhere in there around, I forgot the figure was.
I thought it was-
Just leave these in a pile. or-
Depending upon what DEP is requiring us to do with it, it sounds like they want us to completely rehab them totally with new interior, and some structural work, whole 9 yards. It could be down for a week or two, each tank, the way we're hearing it.
Now, this
So by
this
then-
includes
so-
mixers and everything,
Yeah,
right?
mixers, yeah.
So we want to have station.
Temporary water
We want to have
during
station one
construction.
online and,
Yeah,
and
that's the game-
pumping.
That's the game plan.
Okay.
The
Well, that's why it
combined,
was held off for a year.
the combined total of those 3 contracts are
Is-
under budget.
It's still under the
Yeah.
5.2.
5.225 was the,
For the tanks.
the tanks came in slightly over
Slightly
budget,
up, but the other two were slightly under.
but you're about
Water
$1
sewer
million.
meeting? Yes. Okay.
You're about $1 million under budget on the total of the 3 contracts together.
Okay.
So I see you, or did you have a question?
Nope.
I see you're signing
We
books.
we are signing the books for, this is for the, oh, I&I, that's.
That's for the I&I project. So those are the contracts with in situ form. And the plan is for a pre-construction meeting on that project next Thursday, June 17th.
17 June. Okay.
And then that one will move forward throughout
Yeah,
the summer.
they're right in Charlton, they'll,
Yep.
you know. And that's all, just trucks in the road kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's not for digging, it's sewer rehabilitation by lining the pipes.
Yep.
There's a couple of manholes that need to be raised to grade, but not really any digging otherwise.
No, it's, the question is more to, so folks in Cameraland can
Yes.
hear the answer direct from you.
Yep.
But there's no long stretches that they have to dig in the middle to do lining. You know, sometimes they run
They'll go in
into-
through the manholes.
Well, sometimes it's too far of a stretch sometimes, depending.
Yeah,
on-
I don't think that's the case here. I mean, there might be a change, but the intention is not to do any digging.
There were some questionable areas, but just questionable, and I think they was pretty well easy to line through. But if there was a problem, then we would address it at the time, so.
How long is that lining gonna last?
The actual product,
15.
probably 20 to 40 years in that order of magnitude, extends the life of the pipe.
Okay.
So those are the 2 projects through SRF that are ongoing and in the construction phase. The next item I have for you is the temporary PFAS treatment for well number 7. That one has been designed and permit approved through Mass DEP. The recommendation is for the town to move forward with procuring that single filter, since it is a long lead time item. We had obtained quotes, or we had asked 4 companies to quote on it. 2 of them declined. 2 of them provided quotes. One was lower than the other, and then we modified slightly their quote based on the pressure rating of the vessel per DEP's request. So we emailed over to the board and to George those quotes, and I guess I leave it to the town to procure and get under contract with that filter vessel manufacturer.
Yeah, there was 3, we came in, so we have 2 actual quotes actually physically that were accepted.
Right.
The other one was nice, so we need a vote of the board to move forward with that.
Now, I know you were talking about these tanks being 36 feet tall, 26 feet tall. The pictures that came in those quotes don't look that big. They look like they might be shorter and fatter.
They're 12 feet diameter, 26 feet tall.
They are,
Yep.
okay, so those
I
the
see.
pictures are, yeah, it doesn't look like it's
Yeah.
that tall,
Yep.
so those are monsters,
Yep.
okay. All right, and we're able to purchase both of them, but take delivery of one?
So at a minimum, I think under your temporary PFAS appropriation, you can purchase the one. But then I would recommend that you shortly thereafter procure the second one.
Well, I think originally when we were discussing it was before town meeting. So now that we've had town meeting, everything's been appropriated.
Yes, so, but you have, the temporary PFAS appropriation is a town appropriation. You can spend it as the town wishes.
Right.
Right.
The intention is for the second vessel to come out of the SRF funded.
That's what I was gonna ask. I know
Yeah.
DEP was pushing
They are pushing to get that
to get
second
the
one
second one ordered.
pre-purchased.
So we can order it now and still have the funding through SRF, or are we waiting for some kind of consent from them?
We would need to coordinate directly with the SRF folks at DEP. They are not the ones that have been asking to pre-purchase.
I was
It's
gonna
the
say, if,
technical
you
people.
know, one hand's not talking to the other, we
Yes.
wanna make sure that,
Everyone wants the project to move as quickly as possible.
Right.
But to pre-purchase the second vessel, we would need to do some discussions and paperwork with SRF.
Because those prices aren't, I think the price between the two was about 50, was it 50,000 different?
Yeah, pretty
But,
significant
but the
difference.
second vessel also came with some added piping and connecting.
Yeah, so with the combined, or the future system is two vessels with a
Right.
valve rack.
Right,
The first vessel would come without the valve rack. The second vessel would come with the valve rack, so when the first vessel is moved over, it's connected to the valve
Right.
rack. So you have a complete system at that point. So the second quote is higher than the first.
it's higher,
quote.
but it's
Yeah.
got more to
Yep.
it. Okay. I know those email, did that email go out to everybody in the?
I saw
to all
it, yeah.
com- Yeah, okay. I know I reviewed it a couple of times. The, I don't remember the exact numbers. They were 240 and 290, I believe. I think it was 240 and 290. Files.
So TIG is the company that is the low price.
Yes, yeah,
They are calling the first one $269,213,
yep.
and the second one $330,119. So we have it as a quote. You would need to coordinate with them for the agreement paperwork.
Okay.
so is there any advantage of ordering both at once? I mean, other than DEP's, we want you to order both at once.
The advantage with pre-ordering it is the market's going crazy right now.
Right,
So
so-
both in steel prices and in time of procurement.
Well, on their quote, was it good for a certain amount of time? They usually give you 30 days or something.
Typically is 30 days, but some of them are saying only 7 days these days with steel prices.
I just want to be able to go back to DEP and say, look, you
Yes.
got to talk to them, you're telling us we need to do it.
Yep.
Because I'd rather get it secured sooner rather than later.
Absolutely,
It's too-
because
right.
it's not gonna get cheaper.
It's too
It'd
volatile.
be better
right
to
now.
call them while it's
And
procuring
when-
this one and say, we're interested in going for the second. What are you requiring for either down payment or some kind of commitment to?
They usually don't need a down payment, they just need us to sign the agreement
Yeah, well, that's what I mean,
authorizing,
equipment,
yeah.
unless some-
authorizing the purchase, but
They typically want it like upon shop drawing. So shop drawing is when they submit their drawings to us as the engineer to review to make sure it meets the requirements. Upon that, they usually want some dollar value released, and then upon delivery, and then upon startup, another value released.
It just, it makes sense to get these things ordered now, because when the other 100 and whatever communities start testing and have to start ordering these things, we'll have it already
yeah,
on the
just,
books.
I know that the original concern was that we didn't have enough money appropriated
Right,
to cover the cost of both tanks, but now everything's been appropriated.
right.
So now it's just a matter of getting DEP to agree that they'll apply the SRF funds towards the tank if we go ahead and agree to buy it.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll move on that, I guess, then.
Do you need a motion?
Okay,
Well, if you,
To accept TIG as the low quote.
okay, yes, all right.
was there any advantages to one over the other, price aside?
They're both reputable firms. Evoqua was the other one that quoted a price. The Calgon, I think,
backed
believe
out,
they couldn't
yeah.
meet a schedule, so they did not submit the price. I'm comfortable with TIG.
All right.
TIG is actually using Evoqua's media inside the filter.
Right.
All right, I'm good.
Motion?
Just trying to think of how the motion should be, because
You want both?
To move with the proposal?
I do want both, but we can't sign the agreement until we make sure SRF is fine
Okay.
with us moving forward.
We can
Sometimes
explore
they
the
get-
avenue Where we go to do
Well,
it,
let's
but not.
make two motions, and the second one will be on contingent.
Contingent on SRF approval.
Oh, you want to lock your
the
approval
purchase.
into it so that, to speed up the process a little
Right.
bit?
Yeah,
That you're good with it, as long as we get quotes and.
Right.
Yeah,
We have the quotes.
we
It's
got the
just a matter-
quotes, so
We
we'll-
just have to get
But not on
approval
the,
from.
I'm talking about the second one too. I didn't know if you were trying to move, put in like an approval for going forward with the second one, but upon.
That's what I want to do. I want to approve going forward with both, but it's
Yeah.
got to be contingent on the second one based on SRF, so.
Yeah, quote, accepted quote.
Let's do the first one.
So it's TIG.
TIG,
TIGG,
TIGG.
yep.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept the bid from TIG for the purchase of the 2 treatment vessels, with the second being contingent on SRF approving us to move forward.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay.
So on that same project, the plans have been developed to go in front of the Conservation Commission. Was that officially received?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So the plan would be for a hearing on June 23rd.
Moved it from one side of the desk to the other?
Multiple hats.
So a hearing on June 23rd, that would get us in front of the Conservation Commission, and so that the site plan can be approved for the wetlands restrictions. When you procure the vessel with TIG, you'll probably want an updated schedule from them, generally in the six-month range, but it changes every day.
Now, if they delivery of this, well, we can arrange with them for delivery of the second one. We want to hold off on delivery until the building is up.
Yeah, I
I
would-
would assume.
You might have to ask them to hold it for you. I don't think you want to move it yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, we just
How
put
much does it weigh?
We could put it in George's pickup truck.
Was that in the?
40,000 pounds, but I think
40,000.
that's empty, so
Right.
even more with the.
The filter media inside.
So the plan on that would be to construct the site work, probably September, October, and hopefully the vessel gets here November, December.
Okay.
Hopefully the blending continues to be successful until then.
Yeah, you've had some good results recently. Continuing the theme of PFAS, so the pilot study is in draft form. That was emailed over to the board about a week ago. The plan is to submit it to DEP on Friday of this week. I know George has been asked by Bob to get that as quickly as possible. So the plan is to send that to him on Friday. If you have any comments from the town, we'd like to get that tomorrow.
Was there any concerns that you saw that stood out?
No, the GAC, the ion exchange performed a little bit better than the GAC, but we did a life cycle cost, and it's 10-to-1 in favor of GAC.
Plus the GAC handles a few more contaminants.
Yeah.
In the long run, you're better off with the GAC, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the Just a reminder of the good news on that portion of the work is that project, that pilot study and preliminary design has been paid for or is being paid for by a Mass DEP grant.
That's right, yep. Okay,
There was a lot of data there, so did it determine what the level it would bring it down to?
It's zero until there's a point of breakthrough. It's the timing of the breakthrough
Right.
that
And
it
you got
happens.
the different spots to check where you're
Yeah.
getting,
Or, I guess I should say it's zero to the detection limits. Can't guarantee it's 0, 0.
I was gonna say that's my concern, because I don't know if, were you involved in that, in the conference call the other day with Marty Suberg and Clean
No.
Water Trust and all them?
No,
Because that guy's trying to push for a 1 part per trillion limit,
yeah.
which the minimum reportable level is 1.71, so you can't even
Yeah.
can't even
test
reach
to
it.
that level.
No. And what's the margin of error?
Yeah,
Plus or minus?
30% either way, so
Yeah.
60% essentially.
Yeah. So it'll
Okay.
be, once the plant comes online, it'll be a evaluation of, do you have to replace the media once a year, once every 2 years? In the vessels, there's taps at 75,
See what
50%,
percent.
so you can, test where the breakthrough is leading towards.
Okay,
But the theory behind the 2 vessels is that you can completely expend all the media, so you get the full life out of it.
Yep.
okay, so it's moving, okay, good. What do we, timeline on that, ballpark timeline on that being done?
For the full plant?
Yeah,
Yep, so the next step is final design of the
Right.
plant. So we're drafting up an agreement for that right now. I'll get it to you by the end of June. Hopefully you can execute that at your July meeting.
right,
The design will proceed forward for both the water main and the treatment plant to get to what we'll generally call a 90% design point for mid-October. That's a milestone date for submitting to SRF.
okay,
And then it goes through permitting and approvals. So about January, February of next year, it'll be at 100% and permitted. So go out to bid at that point and break ground about a year from now.
with any luck, after Monday, I'll still be here to see that through. And then the build-out will take a year, 2 years?
Conceptually 18 months right now, but it could be
Okay, 2
shorter.
years, yeah.
I think we have told DEP the general schedule is to get it online by December of 2023.
Okay, all right.
The one aspect of that project that is kind of not, from the engineer's perspective, under our control, is the easement that's going to be required.
Imagine, I just spoke with the owner of that property. He had his knee replacement done, and I talked to him as we walked out of the local establishment. And he's ready whenever we are to
Went the right direction.
to move on that,
Yep.
so.
So I guess I'd recommend a site meeting with him.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
us.
he says whenever we're ready, let him know. And we'll-
Yeah, I just talked to him, it was probably last Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
I ran into him in the morning.
So once it's kind of generally agreed to as to where it's gonna, the alignment of the pipe's gonna be, we would need to get a surveyor involved to survey the easement and the property
Yep.
lines. And then the town's attorney would need to draw up an easement paperwork.
Okay.
With the request that we work towards getting that executed by the October 15th deadline as well.
Now, does
Okay.
the easement have to get approved at town meeting? I think that's more of a town policy. Does town have to vote on any easement because you're procuring roads? real
Don't
property.
believe so. I believe that's a whole legal process, but we'll have to look into that.
It's a legal process, but because it's procuring real property, because an easement is considered procuring real
Okay,
property.
yeah, it could be.
It may require a town meeting vote.
The attorney would have to be the one to.
Yeah, so
The
make sure you
attorneys-
ask them that, because when's town meeting in the fall?
October 20,
So that
And that's
could-
fine.
October 25th.
I'll say, because that could pose a problem if you're
Yeah,
not
so
going to meet a deadline.
there's a submittal on October 15th, one way or the other.
Right.
If everything's not in there, we can supplement it.
Just want to make sure that's not going to hold things up.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. So we're moving.
And let's see, the last thing I had for you was the risk and resiliency report. So we've been meeting with the town water department. I think there were 3 workshops we had to interview and discuss risks of the system. The report is being drafted right now, and plan to get that to you in about 2 weeks. And then the town would need to certify by June 30th that that is complete.
Okay. And, okay, by June 30th?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll
Cut me
probably,
close.
we'll probably have to schedule another quickie meeting, and that may.
Well, I don't know
give us
that we
something
need to,
else.
I think George can sign that certification.
Oh, George can sign that, then, okay, great.
So
Yeah,
we
so-
don't need to do anything with it, but you want to sign it on the 30th and submit it, because from whatever day you submit it, you got 6 months to get your emergency response plan up to date.
I would suggest June 30th.
Buy yourself as much time as you can.
It's a report that the water department has. It's confidential because it has the risks of the water
Right.
department in it.
Okay,
It doesn't
that's-
actually get submitted. The only thing that gets submitted is
It's just a
certification.
Certification that it's
Yeah.
been done.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and there was another town meeting vote that's 90%, 150,000, 90% grant.
Well, that's for the,
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that on my
Master
list, but, so that is the asset management
That's
report.
it.
Yep.
It'll just, it's been a long, hot day,
So,
asset management.
you are approved to move forward on the asset management report. It's $150,000 on the town meeting appropriation, but it's about $120,000 worth of work that we would present
Right.
you with. The remaining $30,000 is in-kind services.
Right.
So I'd like to get the treatment plant to you first, but then
Okay.
that'll soon thereafter follow.
So that'll sometime in the fall.
Yeah, probably August or September.
Okay. So we keep everything moving, keep a pulse of everything.
is there anything in any of these projects that we can kind of account time for towards the asset management? Seeing there's a bunch of assets getting upgraded here, can we count that some of this is?
You can, I think you can only start the clock after,
After, on day
at least
one.
after town meetings vote.
Right, so we're already done. I'm just saying,
Right.
we've got a whole bunch of projects going on here that.
Yep, you'd be able to include some of that effort. The other thing to keep in mind, and I think George is aware of it, the town should be getting American Rescue Plan funds.
Yeah, we should be
Generally-
getting like,
John is aware of it, we talked about it, there'll be something for us, but.
Well-
he's the one.
I think it's a good point to bring up that any of the infrastructure stuff is kind of a no-brainer, and I think they use the rule of SRF. If it
Yep.
qualifies for SRF, then it qualifies for that recovery money.
Oh, is this,
And I
more?
think we're, what,
3 million,
3.4 million or something like that? Is that numbers that you saw?
I believe so, yeah.
so that's for infrastructure?
Well, it's
What's
for the
that?
town.
Town,
Yeah.
but it has to
So
be.
the town has to approve how it gets spent,
Right,
but through the rules of the Recovery Act, you could use all that money, no questions asked, towards
Water sewer drain.
water sewer treatment, even the PFAS treatment, I think you could.
Yeah.
So that could go towards some of that, and where we were all having that conversation at town meeting as to how is this getting paid for, right there
We
is
need to
a,
work with,
Yeah.
you know,
work with the cookie.
I already talked.
my
to him.
opinion is that's a good start to avoid the debt exclusion portion, if that was to be the
Yeah,
case.
I don't know what other projects are on the, on the radar for,
But water and
Use
sewer,
of that.
I think, is the only projects that are pretty much you don't have to jump through all the hoops, it's approved.
okay.
So you can already move forward with using that money towards any of that, starting, what is it, like July 1st or something? No.
I believe the money transfer is supposed to happen sometime this month.
I thought it was.
Well, we should have a meeting with him sometime shortly, just to go over
Good
that.
idea.
Right.
Yeah, just.
I
I mean,
already
that's-
did the initial thing about it, so I mean, I want to just keep reinforcing him that, you know, we're very adamant that we want.
That we're considered
Considered part of that. That
Okay.
act.
So, yeah.
So that's what I had.
Okay.
Luck.
Yeah,
It's a
sure
lot.
is. Anybody have any questions for Jeff? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Should be getting, they signed everything.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay,
Have a good night.
thank you. Okay,
They're here for under public comments.
oh, okay. I mean, we could take, anybody opposed to taking that out of order to free them up?
Unless you want to wait.
Okay,
That's okay. It's been a long day, like you said.
Yeah.
No. I'm Tom Ravane, developing the Lions Estates project.
oh, okay, good.
So I talked to George, I said, I just want to come in and I had to kind of go over, there's been a couple of issues, I think, controversy over what's going on up there and this and that, so I wanted to come in and I asked if I could come in and talk under public comment to find out where we're at, so we're all on the same page, basically. I know we have, we're moving forward on the project, the road is all paved, we've got everything in and done.
Jim, you have a letter in there that you need, that at least, you all have a copy of the letter, so you know what's the situation. It should be the letter that was addressed to David Haynes, he was the original owner.
Yep, here we go.
You approved it for 1 year, and it's never been transferred, and the year permit for David expired in March 2020.
Oh.
So when
It's very
It's right in the
Mr.
very last.
Sorry,
Look at that letterhead.
So when Mr. Ravane called
There it
me,
is.
I explained that we did not, the board, I knew nothing about it, and the board has not given permission to him. David Haynes had permission, so then after my conversation with you, I went and looked up the letter
Yep.
from a couple years ago, and the letter states that it was given to him and it expired March of 2020 for him. So technically, there's no active permits.
Okay,
So, in a nutshell, we've moved forward on the project. We paved the roads 3 weeks ago. We bought the project in July from David Haynes. I got the minutes of the meeting, of all the different meetings and everything. When we bought it, it was all approved, signed, done. I've got the Mylars of the signed approval project all done.
Signed by who?
The planning board. So when we don't, I wasn't privy to any of the meetings of the planning board. I know David, I've known David for a long time, I know he was going through the process. I wasn't in the meetings when they were doing all this stuff, so I wasn't, when he gave me the original set of plans. I agree with George, I saw the plans and I looked, I actually bid the plan out, with the fire hydrant was moved, was at the top of the street, blah, 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 and that's when I got the plans from David. Actually, it was in November of 19. So we looked for investors and moved in a project, and obviously COVID happened and things happened, and the project was moving forward through the planning board. I put an offer on the whole project early in 2020. apparently, things were moving forward, and there were some decisions made within the board that, within the planning board, not this board here, that had changed the plan a little bit that I wasn't even aware of until we purchased the project, because we weren't privy to, like I said, this information. It was his thing. He had a buyer on hand, which was us and my investors, and we moved forward. Once everything went through, we purchased it in July. Everything went through, signed, done, boom. We moved forward. We had a pre-construction meeting right then with everyone that was supposed to be there. I just talked to the Bill at the planning board, and everyone met, went over the plan, said, here's what we're doing. I looked over the agreements on the meetings, which I have here, which was the subdivision plans, the approval, right here, the Town of Dudley certificate of no appeal, and I highlighted some things. It says, comment letter to Jennifer Canoyer, Administrative Assistance for the Water and Sewer Department, noting that the plans met the requirements of the department dated 2/26/2020. Okay? Then there was a second peer review letter from Jeff Walsh, Graves Engineering, dated March 7th, 2020, to the planning board. There's a letter from George, Superintendent of the Water and Sewer Department, stating that the department's approval of the changes made to the plan on March 7th, there was a meeting, I guess, and they changed, moved the fire hydrant down, they changed the detention pond. Once again, I wasn't aware of any of this stuff. I found out, honestly, $200,000 later when I'm putting it in, when I found out we had 800 more feet of water line, a hydrant to move, and the detention pond was twice the size of, 3 times the size of it originally was, for whatever reason they wanted to do. So we found that out kind of a little bit after the fact. Maybe it was intentional on David's part because he didn't want to lose us as a buyer and throw that at us, but whatever it may be, we looked at them at the end. So this letter came in, letter from George came in, Superintendent of the Water Department, stating that department's approval of the changes made to the plan requested by the department, and noting that the developer has made commitment to contribute the $7,500 to help purchase a diesel standby generator for the Lyons Road subdivision dated March 9th, 2020. So at that time, the changes were made on the plan.
The only plan we ever received, and we have in the office. is the
I've
original
looked
plan.
at it, yep.
That was based
We
on
never,
that.
yeah, it was
Right.
based on that plan.
I'm not aware of what plan was submitted, so I mean.
It has the hydrant at the top of the hill.
Right, which,
But, yeah.
believe me, I would have loved to just put that in, to run ductile iron, 8-inch all the way down, 800 more feet in the road, for no reason other than, the reason was the fire chief, I believe, said it was because here, it was, the fire chief had made, the plan shall accurately show the specific location of the fire hydrant as determined by the fire chief and the water sewer superintendent. That was all in March, on that March, 2nd meeting that they had in the planning board. Once again, I wasn't at that meeting, so I don't know what was said. I tried going back to look at the minutes today, so I could figure out what was said, what was done. Just, I'm not opposing anything, I'm trying to work with the board here. We've got a big project here, and we've invested a lot of money. So I want to work with the board, and I've talked to George about it the other day. We're trying to say, look, what do we got to do? We spent an extra $70,000 running water line all the way down to put a fire hydrant when we didn't really have to, apparently. I wasn't part of that. It was approved. Somebody approved the plan. The planning board signed off on this entire thing.
Right.
It was all signed off. It's all bonded, done. I mean, it's the release of covenant is in, the road's paved. We've already transferred 4 lots. We've got 4 more going this week. So we've already started transferring ownership of lots and starting permitting wells to get wells put in. The
Why
original
would you
plan
run a
was all
water
wells.
line down and put wells in?
What's that?
Why would you run 800 feet of water line and put wells in?
Because the planning board told us that. I argued with that. I'm like, if I'm running a water
Does
line,
that-
why couldn't we run, that's
I would
crazy.
never-
Tie houses into it, right?
Believe me, I've done a lot of subdivisions. I would much rather run a water
The
line.
concern is that 8-inch pipe is laying there with dead water in it,
Just water going to the fire hydrant.
and it's just sitting
Well,
there.
right.
Mr. Chairman,
So,
I'm going to shed a little bit on this because I'm a bit confused as to how this happened. I've talked to Tom about this at length, and I was waiting for him to get back to me to make a secondary game plan on how to sort of mitigate this problem. Somehow, some way, the fire chief went out and he recommended to Could have been the planning board, could have been the town engineer, one of those entities to recommend moving a hydrant from where we had
Is that
originally
a
put
site
it,
plan or something?
1,000 feet or so into the development. Now, hydraulically speaking, I don't understand the reason for that, because I don't have any pressure up there. And if
So
the
it's
hydrant
safe.
should go in, it should go in closer to the source that I have coming into that area. But weather may be said, it's done now. There was no inspection done on it. Which means if I had been called for an inspection like it's supposed to be in all our protocols, then I would have stopped it right then and said, what's going on here? What are you doing? But it was put in, nobody knew about it. Mike and I had gone down there on an issue for the sewer part of it, to explain things for the sewer. That's the only thing that's supposed to go in there, the sewer and a short stub for the hydrant. The damage is done now, okay? We can sit here and bark about it all we want, but the issue is, he has the ability now to tie in some houses. And I've asked him to come up with a game plan with us, with me, so we can present to the board how we can tie houses in, if it means tearing some of the road or under the road, or however we can do it, to at least be as good as we can possibly be without adding more expense. I'd like that plan presented to the board to do that. Since the pipe is there, it's in place, the hydrant's there, it'd be foolish not to try to tie in houses and make that a working main well, because otherwise it's not gonna go anywhere or do anything.
Is there anywhere you can loop it back into something?
Well, through the chair, if I'd like to
That
speak.
goes into the woods,
Yeah,
basically.
through the chairs, I'd like to speak. As we met, my son, Mike, I wish he was here tonight, but he actually couldn't make it tonight. So he's the site, he's running the project up there. I know he met with George and the head of the sewer department. Matter of fact, I believe George said, run an extra 10-foot extension past the pipe and put a clean out or a check valve at the end. And we did that. We would have never done that without the authorization of anybody from the water. I'm not just gonna go order a valve and shut things off and run an extra 10 feet. I was already upside down $70,000 as it is. But we did it. It's all in place, and was all done at the request of the water department. So now, that was done, this was all done last November. So we've notified everyone, we got the okay to go ahead, put everything in. I never questioned the fire hydrant because I had no need to. We bought an approved subdivision by the town, signed off by the planning board, which in my mind, and I've done this for 35 years, and I've built in multiple towns, I've built 300 homes. I'm the past president of the Massachusetts Builders Association. I've been involved in a lot of different projects, from 40Bs to everything you can name it. We built hundreds of homes and projects. So, we're not gonna do things the wrong way. Okay, and that's why I've talked to George. And I said, look, I came in tonight on my own volunteering. I've talked to council. I went to my council. We've got council. I'm like, look, we bought on this approved plan, and my investors own hundreds of commercial, residential properties all over the area, and have done this a lot. So we're not trying to get out of anything or move anything. We invested, like I was
Well,
telling
I
George,
understand.
a lot of
I
money.
don't understand why you would run
I would never
that
have
much
done
pipe
it.
for nothing.
I got in hot water with my investment team for that. They're like, because I'm like, this is news to me. That got changed in the 11th hour. So did a handful of things on the planning board, which I wasn't overly pleased about. But I wasn't privy to that because that wasn't me getting approval. It was David Haynes came into the meeting, and I understand he had to donate $7,500 to improve a pump station.
Put the generator at the top of the hill.
The generator, yeah, right. So we went over this with the sewer department and the water department, because we gotta turn the sewer line. David's goes to the right.
Right.
We now have to go to the left. We went over this with the water department, sewer department, everybody else. We've gone over this up at the site. It's not like this is all new news. We had a pre-construction meeting with the planning board. I believe George was there, at the town hall before we started anything. That plan was the plan that was approved, signed. I have the Mylars that were signed, that has that hydrant down there. That's all I know. So when we bought this project, we don't, we were discussing yesterday, like you have to re-go through approval. When you buy a project that's all approved and done, you don't have to go back and get things approved.
As the last gentleman, he had a project, now water and sewer is separate. With sewer, there's a bylaw on the books that says it does not transfer
Okay.
to a new owner.
Yep.
That's why we had him come back
On a subdivision plan,
on a subdivision plan.
I'd like to see that bylaw.
I know it was voted. We've been
Who voted that
looking-
in and when, I need to know, because my council's reviewing it with the town planner, and we, I mean, the engineers, we've never heard, I mean, it's an approved subdivision. When you buy it, it's tied in water, it's water, sewer, we have private wells, it's been private wells since day one. So the reason why, because I had questioned this when we bought this, I go, why can't we run, if town water's right there, why can't we run town water down? I would much rather have done that, and first of all, it gives the town a great benefit, gives the water department a great benefit.
Yeah.
It does.
Pressure issues
I don't
up there.
understand
Yeah,
why.
but they said the pressure, there was not enough pressure to run the town, the down line. I said, okay.
If you don't
who's
have,
this?
if you don't have enough pressure for a residential, single-family house, do they really think there's enough pressure for a fire hydrant to put out a fire?
Once again, I agree with you, okay?
But-
And I'm saying like, so, but they're moving the hydrant from 20 feet,
Permit thing we can fix.
20 feet, 800 feet down the road. I talked to the fire department, because we're building right up here on Dudley Hill Road as well. We got a thing going on, you know, house, single family home up there, and when I got my permit, I talked to them, yeah, we moved it down for safety reasons. Okay, now my son owns all the land behind that. My son's moving up there. My son actually, who's running this project, happens to be moving at the end of that project. He's got 35 acres up there. He's gonna move up there. And so, I mean, I'm like, well, maybe for safety reasons, if they put the hydrant closer to the middle of the subdivision, I guess that's his call. It wasn't our call. If I was in the planning board meeting as a developer, I would have said, no, I don't wanna move it. I would have fought,
It's really
unless
not
we can
his-
put town water and sewer in.
It's not the fire chief's call either, on the record.
Right, but I'm just
It's
saying,
not his call,
right,
it's
but
our
somebody, somewhere it slipped through the
Yes.
cracks. And, you
And
know,
that's something we need to fix.
as a developer, when we buy it as is, if I was in that meeting, I would have certainly talked to you guys and said, look, if we're gonna run 800 feet of water, let's run 1,300 feet and figure a way to hook them all up, put individual pumps in the houses or do something. But now we paved it 3 weeks ago, you know, we got $50,000 worth of brand-new pavement down there, that's all done and approved, and it's signed, sealed, the bond's in place, everything. We've already put in wells in, we've already sold 9 houses up there out of the 18 or whatever we have. So, you know, we're moving forward on what we want to do, and that's why I just wanted to come in and discuss with the board, and George and I, you know, spoke cordially the other day on what can we do? Is there anything we can do? We had run some, and I talked to, remember George was saying we ran some conduit underneath the road. Trouble is that goes all the way to the end. We can't, and we got so much electric lines and everything already installed on the other side, it'd be almost impossible now to run any type of public service, because we said maybe we can run 3 of them off or something, connect 3 of them, but we still have to cut the new road, we still have to do this, and it's an expense I don't want to have to incur, because we didn't have to, we're under strict budget to get this project in and done. And it's not just myself answering, I've got, you know, financial people, I've got to answer banks and say, look, the road's paved, done, they paid for it. To now go back in and start cutting this road and start running when it's all approved with wells,
Is
that's,
the, sorry,
no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
is the sewer pump station on there?
The sewer's all in. Each individual house has its own pump station.
It's a grinder pump.
Right.
It's a grind, yeah, which I wanted to just run by the board, because I know I had talked to
Gotta go uphill, yeah.
the sewer department about the Liberty pumps versus the E1 pumps, and I know Liberty was an acceptable pump for the town, and I just wanted to make sure, I'd like to, honestly, like to get that in writing, because that's what we're gonna use, we just ordered one, I delivered it for Dudley Hill, and they said it was okay for there. And I'd like to do that, we're working with Windwater in Auburn. Matter of fact, they're having a big demonstration on Liberty pumps tomorrow.
Tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow, yeah, so I'm gonna be at that, going over with that, and I just wanted to let the sewer commission know that they were doing that tomorrow. So, I mean, that's our plan, is to do individual pumps and individual wells on each house. We run all the laterals. I guess this came up because I called yesterday, we want to run, the sewer department was up there, and they said, okay, everything's good, you're all set. When you're ready, before you tie into the main, can you run a pressure test on that? So we were all set to run, we just want to run a pressure line, just to make sure everything's good, you know, as you would require.
Yep.
So I called the sewer department like we have done in the past, everything and if you ask Bill, the town planner, I'm an open book in this isn't my first rodeo as far as building.
Yep.
I would rather open it right up. We had a planning board meeting 2 weeks ago on the paving. because they wanted us to do super pave, and the new town superintendent said absolutely not, super pave is not. So before we even paved, we held it off a couple days, I said, can we go to the planning board meeting? Let's go over it, let's just make it right for the town. I live right here in Webster, so I'm a local guy, I'm around here all the time. We want to do the right thing for the town. So it's important that and that's why I asked if I could come and speak publicly tonight, to the board, even though I wasn't on the agenda, and I appreciate, you listen, and even it's, in my opinion, we bought a signed-off project by the town. If there's some internal problems with the town, that's something that has to be dealt with within the town. The fire chief did this, and the planning board signed off, and this plan, like as George said, on March 9th, it was presented on March 7th by Graves Engineering, and it says that it was okayed by the superintendent of the water department. On the 9th, they signed off on that plan on the 16th.
You have a
Look at
copy
the
of this
date.
signed by the water department?
Yeah, not by that's signed by the planning board, but in this note, it said they got a letter. I'll get that letter if I have to, I'm sure the planning, because it says there's a letter from George.
I have a copy of that letter, but it was with the old plan. That's what the
Right.
plan that was given to us.
So once again, that's.
Did
I don't
anyone
know
from the
what
water
plan.
department inspect this water line when it went in?
Yeah, we called the water department.
They
and we
came
let
down and
them know we were
inspected it
putting in.
before you backfilled?
I believe we called the water department, because we called the sewer department and the water department. When we were doing it, they said, go ahead, you're good, it's only a hydrant. There was nothing, we ran 8-inch ductile line.
Inspection for that hydrant at all.
Because even if it's just a hydrant, the water department needs to inspect the
We
water line that
called, we
goes
did
in.
call, and had people come out. I didn't do it, my son was involved in that. I'm not sure who inspected.
That's
I
the
mean, well,
problem, it's third, fourth party talk, because we don't know anything about this.
My son met with George up there and went over everything, and they told us to
That's
put
the
the
sewer
6
part,
line.
that was for the old sewer, plan for the sewer.
No, for the water line, when we put that
That was just the hydrant
extension.
going to the top of the hill, that was the
Right.
only thing.
I mean, well, he met you down in front of David's house and said, he said, no, you guys are good to go. Because I make sure that all the inspections are done. We have pictures of everything, everything's in and done. I mean, Graves Engineering, the town engineer, which we had to pay $8,000 or $10,000 for them to inspect everything. They were there inspecting everything throughout the entire process.
So did Graves inspect the water line while it was
They
going in?
inspected everything. Graves, they set the bond, they set everything for us.
So can we get
That's-
copies of their report on the inspections on the water?
Sure, I would
Water line?
imagine they have that. I think I have all the reports. I mean, we were in just an 8-inch ductile all the way down.
I know, but you say you do projects all over. Is there any other towns that allow
No,
you
I
to bury
mean,
without
I didn't say we
inspection?
do projects, we build houses all over. We did a project in Auburn, we've done, projects, and we have called and asked the town planner what we've done. We met with George and everybody as a pre-construction meeting with that plan. That plan was on the table. If somebody overlooked the fire hydrant, including myself, and I'll be honest with you, I did too, because I didn't know the planning board moved it, George. I didn't know the fire chief moved it. And when I told you, when I found out,
We
I was
only
just.
got it from a
I
hiccup
did
from
have,
somebody
I
talking.
did have a conversation with the fire chief out here in the
Yeah.
hall last week.
Yeah,
Um,
when they moved it, that
and
was,
he said, well, it does us no good at the top of the hill.
yeah.
And I just said, well, but.
How
you-
come
you
it
didn't
slid-
come
then
and-
don't
you didn't
put
come
one
and
at
talk-
all.
You didn't come and talk to us.
How come it slid through the board and us, is like, because I didn't own the property.
When I
Did
first
it
heard
slide
about,
through this board?
I can tell you, I'd never seen this plan because I would never approve that.
Right, and I wish you didn't, to be honest with you.
And
I
is
mean,
this
all the
line
thing-
active?
It's not active yet, no.
Has there been a pressure test done?
That's what we're trying to do now.
Let's say a pressure test, a
Yeah.
bacteria test.
Yeah, we want to do all
That
the
hasn't been
pressure
connected
tests.
to the main yet.
No, we didn't connect it to
no,
the
yeah, it's
main.
not connected.
We ran it right up to the end where the pavement was off the
Because,
lines.
because if it was connected, again,
Right.
at connection, somebody would have noticed, well, why the
Right.
hydrant
Before-
way the hell down there?
Before we can connect it, that's what we called, just for the sewer line, we wanted to run a pressure test on the
Yeah.
line, which was requested by the sewer department. They
I
were
would
up
be
there.
surprised if Graves didn't do the inspection of everything
That's-
and just bypassed us.
That's
So-
beyond his purview.
But that's not their,
But
that's
still,
not
if
their.
they're an engineer, if they're an engineering firm for the town, and they inspected this water line and they approve it and they want to have their PE stamped that it was done correctly so that we don't
Absolutely.
have, the liability would
Yep.
fall on them, but
So I guess we need to get that from,
if you guys ran it in the same trench like the guy wanted to
From
come in
planning.
last time and run the water and sewer side by side, we would never approve that because it doesn't meet state regulations, but
Well,
if
this
Graves
plan
wants
was
to
a-
sign off on it, that's up to
This plan
them.
was approved by the town. When we bought it,
by the planning
It was
board.
By the planning board.
board.
Right.
It wasn't approved by the water and sewer.
I don't know that. when that's not up to us. When we
That's-
buy a
that's not-
project,
that's
we
not
go in
his
and invest
issue.
$1 million
That's-
in a project, I assume that you guys have all done
Yeah.
everything and talked to all the right people.
I-
And if you haven't, that's not my problem. That means somebody missed the boat somewhere, or the fire chief changed it, didn't send it back, and I agree. I know the plan was sent to you guys. I have it right here, that it was approved on 2/26/2020.
We have a copy of it
Yeah, you have
in the
a,
office.
right.
Well, you said you have the
No
Mylar plans, but we don't have any water sewer signature on it, because I
I
can
have
tell you,
not.
I've never seen this plan.
I have the
with a
whole,
water
I
line
have the
going
whole
down
planning
here.
board on it. You wouldn't, you never sign the MyLars. You guys do not sign the MyLars.
No, the planning board
The
does that.
planning board signs the MyLars.
But we have a copy of the plan that shows the plan that he looked at, so he can show you the plan he
But,
looked at that is not this
According
plan.
to this letter from the planning board, you guys have reviewed that plan, signed off on it. Whether they didn't give you that plan or didn't, I don't know the internal makeup of the town of Dudley. We build in 35 different
Yep,
towns.
yep.
I don't know
That's-
the internal makeups
okay.
of what you do. If they didn't get the plan over to you after, I think it was Lou Perrin on the board at the time, who's not there anymore, you know, he made some changes on the highway, he made some changes on the granite, there was some change, the fire chief made some changes. I wasn't involved in that. We bought it in July. This all happened in March. Okay, so if it didn't go to the right people,
Regardless, we have no permits.
Okay.
Right,
So
so,
that's
When
fixable.
he called, that
That's
was-
fixable.
That, right, that was
yeah,
my
I mean,
issue, is that
we'll
there's-
get the permits, we'll do whatever we
There's
gotta
no
do. I
permits.
just wanna make sure, I wanted to let you know where I am on this.
We need to be, we need some kind of documentation of how, if that was inspected, because we're not getting stuck with it if it was, and not to blame you,
Yeah,
20 years from now, that
If you,
it falters.
right.
you ran paper straws down there for,
Yeah.
just, you know.
No, I
go
agree with you.
observe.
We did all the right
You could have run
steps.
anything down there, we don't know.
Right, we did
Could
all
be
the right
wooden-
steps.
Could be wooden pipe.
Right. That's-
you
We,
know? It's not,
We did all the right steps,
Put
and
8-inch ductile
and
iron
everybody
in.
was up there and
Trust
knew
me,
what
that's
we were
it, but-
doing. We built this all last summer. This is done, I'm talking October, November, we were done
I know.
last November.
I know George mentioned this to me, and I
Yeah,
actually was down the bottom of the hill. On my way home, I drove through there. Somebody was in there with a digger.
Yeah.
Working just beyond the hydrant on the other side of the road.
yeah.
But yeah, I saw it. What's it doing down here? It doesn't belong there. And then I came back to our office the next day.
Yeah.
And flipped open the prints. And,
Right.
Yeah, that's
It was
what
always
is.
wells. We priced all the houses up. They're all in the market. It's been wells since day one.
Right.
The fire chief, for safety reasons, decided to move it 800 feet down the road. It's really not that big of a deal. It was just, the bigger deal is that it cost us a lot more money
Right.
than I originally budgeted. So it threw us into a little bit of a tailspin, to be honest with you. So now it's 800 feet. I said, okay, well, it is what it is.
Right.
I can't go back to the board and ask to change it. I asked a couple of changes. I've been back to the board 3 times to change the asphalt, and luckily Jeff Murray helped me with that because he agreed with me that they shouldn't have changed that. The board didn't have the right to change that, but they did.
Same with
They-
the water side.
They're going against some,
Yeah.
they're going against some town
That's something
regulations.
Can I make a point? Is
Go ahead.
there a way to make this main usable? That's my number one question, I haven't got it answered yet. Is there a way to make this main usable in mean of tying into houses? And how many houses can we tie this into?
I
That's
can't
what I'm
see
trying to-
how-
So we can move water on it.
I can't see, I mean, you
Otherwise-
basically have to just do a clean out like you do on every fire hydrant.
well, we don't have water, I mean, this is, what, 800 feet of 8-inch, 2,088 gallons of water sitting in a pipe.
Right.
Right.
That's sitting there going stagnant, that's connected, which will,
Well, we put a shut-off valve, we're gonna put a shut-off valve at the top, then shut it off, and if there's a fire, you turn that gate valve on.
the fire
It
department is
doesn't
never
work that
gonna
way.
do that.
Fire
They're
You
gonna-
know,
department will do that, yeah.
once again, I'm a home builder.
Yeah.
To be
Okay.
honest with you, I would be more inclined to say, stop where you are, don't connect it to the main. If the fire chief says that a hydrant up here is useless to him, this is more useless because he's not gonna have flow.
Right.
So leave it the way it is and don't connect and have, just either take that hydrant off or
I mean, if that's the
bag
case,
it or whatever. I mean,
you know
that's-
what? I'm fine with that.
That's,
I could care less whether I mean, there's a hydrant right across the street. Why did we spend $70,000?
Just, and I'm not gonna go it, but
You can't
hydraulically
unspend
speaking,
it. That's the unfortunate
I
thing.
can't, you're right. It's
Yeah,
under,
we
it's
can't
under the
unspend
ground,
that
it's
much.
done, it's in the ground, it's done.
do you know what you have for fire flows on the hydrant right at the top?
not, on that one, the main coming in is our main volume coming in there, not to put another 1,000 feet of 8-inch down in a
I know,
low
I'm just
pressure
saying,
area.
do you know what the flow is there?
Very low up there, I don't remember what.
Because you're gonna have less flow here, and it's
Yes,
also,
exactly.
it's also a dead end, so you're gonna
Yeah.
even, it's single
I would have had
side
better
bed.
flow with the hydrant back up, and a fire truck would be there to back up the one. Plus, I don't know why you put one midstream, the house fire is up and before you, now you're backjacking to this low-pressure hydrant, that's not gonna give you anything anyway.
Now, this is a discussion that I think should have happened with the fire chief way before we even purchased this property.
Right.
You know, not now, after it's all done, approved, and signed off by everybody on the planning board, including the town engineer.
This is why the water and sewer are responsible for these hydrants, because we know
Yeah.
the pressures we're responsible for.
I agree.
So-
I know what you guys are up against, and I know it's two different boards, and they say this, he says this. All we do is, we go in and we want to
that's
buy a
not your
project,
problem.
and it's not my problem. The town either has to figure it out, and I know, I built subdivisions in Auburn, I went through the same thing. They had, before they went to a DPW, they had their own departments, and it was, everyone's batting heads. Because no one tells the right hand what the left hand is doing. Unfortunately, they make a change and they go, oh geez, we forgot to tell us. Well, they did or didn't. I don't know that. That's the internal makeups of the town.
Well, if you've
Not-
done, if
not-
you've done them in Auburn, you're still running the same issue you are here, because Auburn has a water district.
Right.
Which is in no way affiliated with the town, so it's a
Right,
separate.
I know, that's what I'm saying, I ran into the same issues.
But-
I mean, but it was always, the planning boards, it's not us, it was a little different in that, because I went through the town approval. I got that subdivision approved. I was at every single meeting. In this particular case, we bought this as an approved subdivision. Okay, so we came in, I waited for David to go through, David Haynes, and he said, listen, don't go to the meetings, I'll go through it. I want to get it all done. I don't want to confuse them that I've got a buyer and I'm going to sell it. I'm like, fine, whatever. And if you need my help, I'll go to the meetings with you. I want to make sure it's going to be done right. And I wish, and honestly, Scott, I wish I did now. I wish I sat in there and said, look, I would have been right with George going like, this is
You're
stupid.
never too old to learn.
Yeah, but I can't, it wasn't part of my
Can't
thing.
undo it.
I can't undo it. Like you said, it's in there now.
Can we make this a usable name? Some fashion? Would it be 4 houses, 5 houses, 2
I
houses?
think I looked at it, George, and that we can only probably get 2.
That's not enough.
And that's
That
not
water
enough.
will be too old, and it will be,
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah,
have
it's not-
all kinds of issues.
5, I'd say we have a better shot at it, but
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I apologize for not getting back to you. It's been crazy trying to get all this stuff done. Like I said, I called yesterday, like, we want to test the sewer line. We want to get moving and building houses, and we're, the line's in, it's in and done. I mean, I don't know the definitive,
What are these houses? Are they two bedroom, 3-bedroom?
they're like 3-bedroom homes, mostly 3-bedroom.
I see smoke.
Yeah,
we're just trying to.
I'm just trying to figure out.
I mean, I would love to work it
How
out,
many
believe
gallons
me,
in
to
that?
put a well in and do all this. My well guys are 5-6 weeks out right now. If I could go put a water line in, I could get a
Yeah,
building permit and
yeah.
start building.
It's a lot cheaper to
But
do a water
I
line
also
than
have
it
to
is
look
to-
at the cost factors of cutting into the road, trying to tie into this line, trying to tap into this line, going across everything that we have, and only doing 2 houses in an 18-lot subdivision, where we've already got some of them sold. I mean, it's always been water, and I was told from day one, there's not enough water pressure. All of a sudden, now there is water pressure.
There isn't.
I look kind of
No,
like,
there's still not water
Still no
pressure.
water.
right,
pressure,
but I'm
yeah.
just saying, if somebody says, okay, now we have town water here,
Still have to put a pump in there.
yeah, so I mean, and that, who does that cost? Who does the hookup fees? We've allocated
That's what I
a
was-
project with wells, not to
Take the
tie
hydrant
in.
off, leave it dead. That's what I would do.
When we ran it down, I would have loved to run laterals off. Nothing would have made me happy to do that when we're doing it. Not now that we've put $50,000 worth of asphalt down. And to cut in, and it's not a money factor, it is actually a money factor, and it's also trying to do it. We got all the utilities going in, all the drainage structures and all the conduit on the whole right side of the thing. It'd be virtually impossible to try to cut through, and we did run an extra conduit under each lateral in case in case the gas company, somebody else wants to do something through there. It's there, but then I looked at it, George, and the lateral runs to here, the water main's here. So we can't go out and go in and around, and to cut in that would have to cut the road, and it's all encased in concrete. So, I mean, I tried every avenue to work with George to say, how can we do this? To
Okay.
make it, at least get some customers for the water department, on that line.
Well, it's not a matter, it is a matter of getting customers, it's a matter of
Making it-
not having stagnant water sit in
Right.
that pipe.
Yeah, and we did put a clean out at the end. The pipe is, we put an extra 10 feet in case someday the town ever does get the power or whatever, the pressure that they can. You know what, you only have to go the rest of, another 700 feet. We put a check valve, everything right there. You can connect to it and run down to the end. So, I mean, so we did put that in at the request of the water department. That was, I mean, George, you told that to my son, do that. Maybe you were thinking it was up at the top of the street. He said that. He goes, I don't know, maybe.
I put T with an end cap was.
Yeah.
With it, but
After the
that-
fire
That
hydrant.
was a little bit up there, but. that's-
Yeah, we ran
it is
out
what
of
it
10
is now.
feet. So we did run it and put the valve in and did all that for you guys. And, like I said, if it's a stagnant line, it's a stagnant line. There is hydrant right across the street, so it is kind of a,
Stagnant, you just don't connect it.
yeah, I mean, if we don't connect it, you don't connect it. It'd be kind of a waste, in
Yeah,
my
but-
opinion.
The fire department will never use that hydrant if they've got to go open a valve in the street, they're never gonna do that in the middle
No,
of
I
an
don't think they were
emergency.
thinking of that. I think they were thinking
No,
it was
he
gonna be
was-
live, and they were just kind of
I
cleaning
know,
it
I'm just
out.
saying that,
Like my comment of being, it could be wooden pipe that's in the ground.
Right, but-
You putting that in, that's not,
Right.
nobody's ever gonna do that.
but being a low-pressure area, if this pipe is full of water and they have a fire down here,
Yeah,
they're gonna hop on a hydrant, and when they hop on a hydrant here, you're gonna get a Venturi effect and pull water out of this.
Right.
Which could be going to other people that are drinking it, that could be 2 years old.
right.
And who knows what's growing in it.
I think
So
there was
would-
two, wasn't there, I'm not from the town, but from what David had said, there was 2 different fire chiefs, is that correct? The original one in 2008? who
Oh, yeah,
approved-
okay, so this goes back,
Who approved
he goes
the
back
plan.
all the way to.
Dave,
There was
that's-
there was a subdivision proposed in your 18 houses with, like I said, that other developer to put water and sewer into that development.
Right.
Cost factor was too high for him, and he bailed out of
Right,
that.
and it changed.
Why this was, ended up being just sewer, not water, I don't understand the reasoning, because if it was a matter of the pumps, that was not really a good reason.
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, because I talked to you guys, I talked to your guy up at, when I was doing Dudley Hill, because we gotta put that was the other
Is this
thing,
the only
the
letter?
meter pit up in there.
Yeah.
You still, I got the specs on the meter pit.
Yeah.
You still want us to
Okay,
put a
but
meter
you
pit
can
in?
Extend
Yeah.
this, that's,
Yeah.
So,
I can,
I got it on
Well,
orders.
yes and no,
Not
but
until we know what's in the ground.
this letter says Jesse Road.
Oh, wait, did I give you? No.
So,
David Haynes, Lions Road.
well, if you read it, it says
Oh, that was.
proposed
Lori.
18 single-family development on Jesse Road.
So, Lori, yep. It
So
was done by Lori back,
this,
and that was the letter that was given to David back in December 11th, 2000.
David was never involved on the Jesse Road.
No, she
I'm just
must have-
saying, that's what this
she
letter
must have-
says.
She must have had the Jesse Road one at the same time, and
Both
Yeah.
plans came at the same time.
that was prior to me, I apologize.
I don't know, this whole letter confuses me. It says Jesse Road.
That's yeah.
It has me listed as one of the commissioners. Lori Smith as the administrative assistant. I was never a commissioner while Lori was here. I came in after Lori got voted to go as town clerk.
That same year, right?
I got voted the same year, so I wouldn't be on a letter that Lori submitted. Lori was gone long before December of 19.
No.
This says, I don't know, like I said, everything in this is incorrect to me. None of it lines up, that's,
So bottom line, if we have to get permits or change names, or when I talk to my council, I talk to the town planner, I talk to, various people as far as what this is, if we have to change names from David Haynes to, it's actually Galaxy Estates is the land trust that we have that put it in. So, I mean, if we have to put it into that and do what we have to do there, we have no problem transferring names or doing whatever. I mean, the plan is approved the way it is, that we're gonna go all the way down to the left. We've
Yeah,
already gone over that.
I know we approved it.
Yeah, it's all approved, going to the left, we're gonna do that.
I have no problem with the sewer portion of
Right.
it.
Well,
And
yeah,
that all works fine. I mean, I would get your permit stuff squared away.
Yeah.
but we
Yeah,
need.
this
the
says
sewer
tie in
part
water and
private.
sewer.
It needs to be voted on,
And
and
that
No,
project
we-
was never water, so
we need
there's
to
something
sign
wrong with this
off on
letter.
Whoever inspected it, because we didn't
That's
see
what was
what.
in the file.
Okay,
so yeah, so we would need to see
pull up the,
either Graves or whoever did
But
the
I have no
inspections.
payments
no, pull up,
or permits from David Haynes.
Now, David said he had all the permits for all the lots, he did everything.
No, I went
I
back
don't know
through
how
the
he did
permit
that.
book for years.
David had a mess of paperwork that kept
Oh, I
coming in
know.
on intervals and
George,
about
I know.
4 by
Believe me,
4
I know.
little sheets of paper.
He-
So he was totally confused as what to do. and how
Yeah, he wanted to sell the project to us in a bad way, so
We
whatever,
did- we
whatever he had
did-
to do, so.
We did get the money for the generator,
Right.
that we did,
Okay.
but there's no.
And that was based on the final plan. David said he had to give the $7,500 to get that final plan approved. And that's the final plan as of March 16th.
Is this,
That plan was never
The
voted
public
on
road?
yet.
Yeah,
yeah, I've never seen it.
How?
Is this
so
gonna
how
be a
many
public
units are you
road?
building?
yes,
So it's
How
not
many
a-
units is down there?
18.
18.
18. So that is 18, so the 18 number is right. And that Jesse Road wasn't 18 units.
I have no idea, I just,
I
like I
wasn't there
said,
for
I never
that.
seen either of these,
22.
so that's why I was
Yeah,
just.
20,
16.
yeah, 20, around 22, 20, yeah.
Yeah, 22, because I was in.
Bob, the
building
plan,
at the time.
that's the
Yeah, so-
exact same plan, the only difference is they moved the hydrant down.
Yeah.
They did nothing different, except they changed the detention pond, and they changed a couple lot lines, because they weren't conforming or something from day one, but they moved the hydrant down and made the detention pond about 3 times the size. So.
I don't see a problem with that, just don't connect the hydrant.
That'd be
So
my,
that's,
that'd be my recommendation, is
the problem is with the sewer
it's
part.
a dead water line in the ground.
Because we do not know what's in that, ground,
Okay. As far as, what's that, I'm sorry?
the sewer part of it. We
That
do
one-
not know what's in the
All right, well,
ground.
the sewer, they inspected, it's only a force main, so,
We're not they.
Right.
We're
right.
water sewer.
Right.
I don't know who inspected it.
I believe the sewer department was up there, they looked at all the stuff, they're the
The
ones who
sewer
told
part
us.
was not the issue, the water.
Right, but was-
the hydrant.
Did you
yeah.
guys
sewer
inspect the
department was
sewer
up
when
The
it went
sewer,
in?
the sewer was fine.
Sewer's all set, okay.
Sewer's
Yeah.
all set.
Okay.
They want us to test it, they said as soon as you're done,
Oh,
just
well
call
then-
us and
Yeah.
run a pressure test, so
They
that's
just
when I
want
called, they
inspection and,
said,
you know, the usual protocol we have for.
I want to do an
everybody.
inspection, they said, you're all set to do, backfill it, get it done,
So
do a
then-
pressure test.
Did
In my
you-
opinion, everything's simple, you just don't connect, and
I'm good
I'd
with-
take that hydrant off and,
I'm good with that,
Save it,
That's-
yeah.
Were you there with the?
I mean, I'm good with
sewer or
that.
just Mike?
Mike and I both were in the first round, and Mike went again the second round to double check. So he was
What
there.
happened in the first round? Was-
We were
was the
just
pipe-
explaining how we wanted that and how we wanted it angled off to the pump station. General information, but nothing for water, just sewer, cleanouts, what have you.
Well, George, the only thing we went over with the water was to put at the end, the extension, that 10-foot extension with the valve at the end, because we did that. We ordered that separately after you spoke to my son, Mike. You said, hey, can you run it just in case we ever extend
Yeah,
it
that was
further
on
down?
the initial.
Yeah,
plan.
that was the initial,
Like,
but that was still
yeah.
down, that was off of that
You were on 2
plan.
different pages.
Yeah, he's thinking, we're thinking up top.
he's looking at a plan that showed it up
And, you
here.
know, because we don't have that plan up top. We have this plan, and that's what was, you know, and when Winwater's the one who said, when they told me, he goes, you know, I'm looking at $9,000 for pipe in my budget, and they go, it's $35,000. I went, are you kidding me? Why? Because you have 800 feet of pipe. I said, when did that change? You know, and I was on the same page as George. I'm like, I thought we were just going right to the top of the street. And it just kind of slid in. It's not, honestly, it's not something, you look at that plan, we got, what, 20 pages or something of a subdivision plan. Once it's all gone through and you do it, I'm not gonna look, did somebody move the hydrant somewhere? Without notifying us. You know, and it doesn't even say it in this. It says the hydrant was placed according to the fire chief and the water department. It's approved, so I didn't even think twice about it.
George, the actual inspection of the sewer pipe getting laid, were you there for that?
I wasn't there for the pipe getting laid, I believe Mike was there.
Yeah, Mike was- he was up there.
Yeah, because we also asked if they would connect David Haynes' house in directly to the new main.
And we did.
His ran up all the way up to the corner
Yep.
side.
Yeah, we
That
went
was the
over all
first
that.
part. That's when I was sitting there with discussion with his son, I believe, when we were mapping that all out.
Yeah, and we did that, George. We did the whole,
Yeah, that was the right.
yeah, instead David's went up, so we ran a whole new line for David and we reconnected David's
To
house.
discuss who's in charge of the sewer department.
well, that's what I was gonna say, I'd-
Well, I wasn't available for that, so Mike was over there to do it, and
No,
part of
I-
my knowledge of it and stuff, he was
No,
just
but-
here to inspect, to make sure.
what he's referring to is, we need to probably send a letter to the planning board that they can't
Yes.
decide where
Oh, you're
hydrants are
talking about
going.
No, no, he's talking something
They
else.
can
I'm
make-
talking something else,
Oh, okay,
because George is the
oh,
superintendent,
yeah.
not Mike.
No, Mike comes to me, or I go to him and explain what I want done, and I want inspected, as long as he meets our criteria, and that's what he does, and that's what he did. initial contact was done on modifications that I wanted to the sewer in the beginning stages. After that, it was just a matter of routine inspection, cover,
Yeah.
proper piping.
I mean, we even do that on a single-family home. As I said, we're building on Dudley Hill Road. I called you, we called the sewer department. Can you guys come up before we do anything? What do you want us to do? We gotta-
We're even in the water side, sometimes my guy has to go out and do an inspection upon, and they know how to do the inspection, they know exactly what they're looking for.
That's fine, yep.
And that's-
And you guys are always right there. I call you guys, come up with 10 minutes.
I can't always beat every inspection.
No, but yeah, I'm saying, when we asked for an inspection on that road, you guys were right there, right? And we made the decisions on where to put the meter pit, to do this. to do
Keep
that.
everything, we always discuss things before we do it
Yeah.
anyway, so they know, they're very aware and know what
Yeah,
they're looking for.
I don't wanna have to do things twice.
No.
But now with this, I mean, if you wanna just negate it, negate it.
I mean, that's up to the board. I wanted to
That's
come
what I
in
would
and
do.
discuss it.
Because if
Now,
he
so-
says the hydrant at the top of the project is useless, then one in the middle of it that has less
Definitely.
pressure
So what
and
I'm
less
gonna
flow
need,
is
what I'm gonna
completely
need
useless.
from this board, okay, is I'm gonna need, I can't alter a subdivision plan signed by the planning board.
Yep.
I can't do that. It's under bond, it's under this, it's signed off by the town planner and the town, I mean, the whole planning board. If I don't, right, and 2 years from now, all you could not be on this board. Okay, so now I'm sitting in front of the planning board and they say, well, Ravane didn't tie in the water line, why didn't he do that?
Eisenhower Drive, right
Yeah.
up the street from there,
Okay.
we've got the same issue.
So I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for 35 years, so if this is the decision of the board, this has to go in front of the planning board and get approved by the planning board, an amendment to my plan. Somehow that has to happen, because
Well,
I'm
a
not
letter from
gonna.
us to the planning board, and by the way, that there's also gonna be some feedback from us as to who's responsible and the
Right.
authority to do this stuff.
Right.
And obviously, they have to be.
But that, once again, that's internal works.
Yeah, but I
That's not
mean, we
me.
still have to, we can still
Okay.
send a letter for,
So,
Yeah.
for a,
So
I'd
we
be
can-
more than happy not to have to tie that in, believe me. If
we
I don't
can,
have
we,
to-
let's-
we can deal with that,
Okay.
that aspect of it after,
Okay.
after he's gone. But, what are the permits now? Are we sure that there's no,
I went back through both my permit books, water and sewer, way back, even prior to
Okay.
2017, to see, because I didn't know if they came in under Lori. So I went back and looked. Nothing, there are no permits, there were never, no permits, and he had 1 year to file, and he did not. So, and technically, I still have this is Lions State,
Right.
listed as David Haynes, because you gave permission to David Haynes.
right?
So that was my, and I'm just, that was my,
No,
and that's
no,
why this
and I
whole
wasn't
thing.
arguing with you yesterday on this,
No.
I just, it's
We
very
have to
confusing and
figure-
frustrating.
We have to figure that all out.
And I
yeah.
just have to
You
do
know, we're willing
what
to
they
work
tell
with the
me.
board, and that's why I'm here tonight, on a 90-degree night. We all don't want to be here. You know, we wanna-
Because we have no record of payment, you'd have to show proof of payment
Right.
in order to move
And
forward.
I only have a
so-
letter from David that all the sewer permits are in, done, everything's done. Yeah, whether that's the truth or not,
He may have
whatever.
had approval, but
Right.
unless he can produce a receipt that
I
shows
mean,
he
if we
paid
gotta,
for it, you're
we're
on the
gonna pay
hook
sewer
for it.
hookup fees and do what we gotta do that. I mean, I
Right.
do that on I gotta do it on Dudley Hill Road.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't mind paying the fees when we go get a building
What are
permit.
you building on Dudley Hill?
Just a single family home.
Oh, you're building the house just at the
Yeah.
bottom of the hill?
Yeah, right, the little one.
Okay, the one, way back?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
can you
So-
approve anything on a commentary aspect? Do we have to have some kind of special meeting for this on the
Is it-
agenda?
It's not an agenda item, this was
Not an agenda
for the
item.
public.
Yeah, I don't think we can approve or make a motion or anything on something that came in under, that wasn't on the agenda.
So July 7th is your next meeting?
Well,
So why don't we- unless you do a private.
we can do, I think, well, I believe we have another reason to have a short meeting. All these lawsuit things. We've got 3 proposals now. We had 2 more law firms come in. And I don't know that anybody, we're gonna have to go through them and figure out what's the best deal. What's the best for
Those
us?
could be till July anyways.
They can, but, I don't wanna hold him up that long.
To the chair, does this have to go, I mean, is the fire department, they're the ones who said move it down, so I mean, that's something that, you know, like I said, I'm not.
The fire
I got my
department
hands full.
can't decide where
Right.
water lines are going.
So that's what I'm saying, like, where there's
No,
a
it's
fire
not that
hydrant,
hard.
that's something that has to be internally with you guys. I mean, I don't
But
want
are
to.
you comfortable with negating that hydrant and forgetting about that.
Oh, I'm more than happy with that,
All right,
George.
that's where we're leaning to, I think that's where the board's leaning to, and I'm
I
leaning
mean, if
to.
I don't have to cut across that road and tie into that and tap it in and do all
Okay.
that, I'll be more than happy.
That's probably.
If you want us to take that
Oh,
hydrant
yeah,
off,
that's still.
I'll put a cap on it. You guys know there's
Yeah,
an 8-inch
I-
There's a
ductile
little,
water
there's
main.
a little
up
saving
and-
there, but not 70,000.
You know what, yeah, it's in, it's done, whatever. I'm not gonna cry over spilled milk, but I mean, if we don't, I don't wanna leave a hydrant there that looks, I don't want any false, somebody who,
No,
once
it's wrong.
again,
Yeah,
10
no,
years
no.
down the road, the
Yeah.
fire department goes down, they undo it, they hook in.
But that's off the road, so.
Right,
you
so
can-
we take
Dudley,
it
he'll
off.
call me tomorrow, I'll go over that.
Okay.
Beat a pit there, it's pretty standard,
Yeah.
like if you have a problem getting one, I can tell you where to get one and all that.
I already ordered the
Okay,
wind water, and I got the
alright.
Liberty pump there too.
That's fine.
So we're gonna install that, I think starting tomorrow, so I don't know who is inspecting.
Mike and I should be up unless I'm busy doing something, at
All
least
right.
for the sewer, Mike or myself, water
Okay.
is me, or one of my guys.
Right, I'm not putting the meter pit in tomorrow, but I'm doing the E1 pump, I'm not the Liberty pump tomorrow. And then I'm gonna go down to wind water and check out how they
Pull
put them
something
together.
together for next week.
I told them I'd tell you guys about that. We have free
That's what I was
food.
gonna say, after do next week, I'm not here the week after.
See you there.
Okay. No, we just have to have 48 hours
Right.
to post it and,
All right. Okay.
So we'll have to get a meeting scheduled for next week.
so what, we can do, it would be posted tomorrow, 48 hours means we could do it Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
Monday's voting.
Monday's voting,
Can't
yeah,
do Monday then.
not Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday. Is that, huh? You can't Wednesday, okay. Does Tuesday work, the 15th?
I have a Board of Health meeting at 4:30.
Oh, at 4:30, we'll be,
After that.
I'll
You
just be
got
here
a long day
all
that day.
Come in at 10.
Yeah, George will love that. I'm already not gonna be here Monday.
You can do it, no, we can have a talk, you and I, good job.
so, 7 o'clock on the 15th?
That's fine.
And I take it I need to be at this meeting.
Would be nice.
And it should be just to,
No, I mean, I just,
And
to
in
recap
the
this so we can
meantime-
vote on it, correct?
That's it.
okay, well, yeah, we
All right,
we
no, I
just
understand
can't.
that, that's fine.
It
We're
has
not
to be-
in a rush, I just, like I said, I thought it was important not to wait till July 7th for this. You know, I think that's your next meeting, I think they said
Yeah.
that to me, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
we're pressing time now.
So, 15th,
And any inspection report you have for the sewer.
I'll go through whatever we have.
Whatever you have, if you can
And
bring it.
everything,
Yes.
and I'll give it, just so you guys, for your own records, know what's in the ground and what we did.
Yep.
And any pictures I have, if I can post them, put them with any, what we did, we photograph everything.
I'll have all the application sections and
Okay.
everything for that night
Okay.
with your approval letter.
Okay, great. Thank you, gentlemen. And you.
sorry.
Thank you.
No, hey, you know what, we resolved an issue that needed to be.
I'll call you, talk to you.
All right, do I have that plan I left? The 2
Uh,
pages?
Over here.
Can I grab that? I took that out, thanks.
Yes.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay,
Seven.
Okay, on that, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see policy changed. that
oh, absolutely.
If somebody, and I don't, not to blame you, George, and not to blame Mike, if somebody's given approval for this board, I want it in writing. I don't wanna be at a meeting like this and say, you say, yeah, Mike approved. I want it in writing. I want it, okay, he went and inspected this,
And when you make up a template form of.
or you went and inspected.
Sign off
Inspection
sheet.
form.
If he's signing off on it, you're the superintendent, I want your name on it too,
Well,
okay? Because we're not paying Mike to run I know he's very knowledgeable, but you're the superintendent for both departments.
Yeah,
So I
I
want
can't
you-
always be there.
I understand
You know, If
that.
I'm out away for a week,
But
What you're asking.
We're just
somebody
asking
to
for
inspect it.
documentation.
Whoever inspects it should sign it.
yeah,
And
well,
then the superintendent can countersign. But
Exactly.
he's not signing that he inspected it, unless he.
Yeah,
inspects
just a counter signature, yeah.
to be honest with you, what should happen, any projects like this, anything over a single family tying into an existing main.
I want it,
Should be, the town, we should have our engineers, whether it be tie and bond or, do we use tie and bond for both water and sewer?
Yes.
So tie and bond would send out an engineer to inspect. and that would fall under a 53G account that the developer is required to pay, so it doesn't come out of our funds. That's how it typically works on any bigger
On
project.
big subdivisions, yeah.
Right,
I
but
think it
this exceeds the amount of time that you have to supervise a project this size. If it's a single-family house, you go and inspect the lateral, you tie into a main, that's fine. But anything that's adding main and services should be done, it doesn't come at a cost to us.
No.
They're doing a development, and that's the cost of doing business. And they're already paying engineers for their plans and everything else, but that's typically the way you would run any of these larger projects, and they have an inspector come out, and they can set it up however they want, whether you have them there a full-time inspector. I mean, that's what we pay, that's what we're paying for now on these projects, is a full-time inspector to inspect everything that's going in that Halleck's doing. That's what you would require them, but if you're trying to ease the cost to a developer a little bit, you say, all right, at 2 o'clock every day, our inspector will be out there, have whatever main you have ready to go, they're gonna inspect it before you backfill it. So you can do it that way to kind of negate some of the expense of having an inspector there full-time, so you're not paying someone.
We need to get a paper record going, because 20 years from now, nobody's gonna know who looked at that line. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be, oh, it was put in the ground, who, did the sewer department inspect it?
Right, so,
Speaking of which, you raised the issue again about transfer of permit.
Permits.
well, that's one of the policy things that we want to look at.
Policy that I thought the last time, you couldn't find that policy.
I've gone back through, I haven't gone, I'm sure it's.
No, we
I'm
keep saying
positive.
it's a policy, but it's
Right.
not.
Well, when we go
Or
through
at least
the,
it's not.
Well, it may be, we just don't have it documented. We don't have
writing
it
to look at.
readily accessible document, but that is part of what the policies are that we are looking at already that we need to finalize.
Yeah.
And then we'll have it in place, so going forward, we'll be fine, but,
Okay.
but on those inspections, that's, anytime these projects go forward, it should be, have an engineer do the inspections, and there should be as-bills. You don't have anything for as-bills, I mean, you've got some stuff down in the garage there, but there should be as-bills for any development that goes in that gives,
it's not only development, it should be every house. Because 10, 20 years from now, we're not around, who's gonna know where the line is?
but a single-family
That's-
house going to an existing
yeah.
main is all their responsibility, it's on their property. It's only us as main to curb, which we're gonna do anyway.
Mr. Chairman, on the bottom of the permit that
Yep.
I get, it does have a sign off, and Mike will come in, or George, or whoever, it says inspected by, like, at the
Okay.
end, and that's the final thing. But one of the disconnects is sometimes they go out to inspect, and I haven't even gotten a permit yet for some reason.
Right.
Nobody wants to come. So
That's hard to look
we're-
at to see when is the permit, you know, then we have to go back,
Right,
you know.
we're trying to rectify that, but I'm not sure how.
So you know what you say, they have to come in, and let them know they have to come in first,
Yep.
get the permit paid before any inspections are done, or whatever.
That's what I've
And
been.
that'll-
Well, how-
That's
yeah,
what
how do
I'm
you-
telling them.
How is something installed if there's no permit?
Yeah, that's, when they
You
do,
can,
It's approved by the board originally, and it was told to them usually that they have to come and do their permits.
Yep.
And
It says-
sometimes they may be delayed or something, and an inspection comes.
So you hand them the permit when they,
They give me the permit, and I have a book that the permit goes in. So we have a record of all, whether it's a repair, a tie-in, anything, I have a record of everything. And then when it's been finalized, Mike will come in and sign it, or one of the water guys, or George will come in and sign it.
is that our permit, or is that a building permit?
Nope, that's our
Our
sewer. So, like, I give them the letter, and it says they have 5 business days to get me the $350 deposit, when they, and that they must pay within the next year, you know, the whole. So then when they come in with the 350, that's when I usually give them the permit applications, or like tonight I did. And I explained to them that this
we
has
can
to be.
solve this, because you are not allowed to do inspection unless you have the paper in hand. They hand you the paper, so you can sign
There'll
it.
be a receipt for payment that she would give them,
Mhm.
and they would come to us, you know. that-
Yeah, so,
I can give them a copy of the first page, so
To
that
do
they
that,
have
yeah.
that,
so
absolutely.
who calls for the inspections? How does that, how are they
Usually
happening
the people in the
now?
field will call the office. That doesn't necessarily, like in his case, he may be doing other things, but he may be the one that's supposed to pay the permit. and he doesn't get to it yet, but his guy is calling us for an inspection.
Right, but
Because they're
all,
digging.
anytime someone calls and requests a inspection or anything, it should go through her. So they're calling her, and then she'll let you know, or
Yeah,
Mike know,
exactly.
whoever.
And a lot of times it does too, you know, but even so, then they say, well, we're gonna get in there and do it. They don't, for some reason, that they get sidetracked, but there are people on site that have already got the thing exposed, ready for an inspection. We don't know.
Well, we need to change policy.
Right, but are they calling you directly to get an inspection?
Once in a while, we may get a direct call for some, but usually it goes to the office.
I was
But
gonna
it's
say,
not
It should
necessarily
go,
what the office.
it should go through the office.
Yeah, but it doesn't always necessarily mean what goes on in the field. And we're out in the field, we don't know what's going on in the office side. So sometimes that ends up.
Yeah, but you don't know to go do an inspection unless the office calls you.
Yeah,
So I mean, if all calls are routed through the office,
yeah.
it eliminates that, oh, well, this one called for an
And
inspection.
I've been keeping
The
a
calls.
call book.
And you should always keep a call.
Yep.
You need to, when you are asked to go do an inspection, you need to call the office to see if they paid.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Most of the time, we tell them to call the office and schedule an appointment.
That's what I was gonna say. I wouldn't even accept it. Just say, well, I can't,
Yep.
I don't schedule appointments through you. You call the office and we'll put you on the books.
What the office schedule. But I wanna go back to the signing off. I'm an old aircraft maintenance officer. One thing we always did was always make sure you had a CDI sign off on
Oh,
all
yeah.
done. You never touched me a plane, changed a part, and did anything to it without sign-offs. I never expected my maintenance chief to be the sign-off person. I had CDIs that signed off. They signed off. When they signed off, later on, paperwork brought into maintenance control. When maintenance control, which would be charged, would countersign.
Yeah.
That's just, all the countersigning is that the inspection was done by X number of guy who signed this, and it is now law. That to me is the simplicity of it.
Yep,
That's
It
what
doesn't
needs to
mean
do.
that he has to personally go out and do the inspection.
No.
okay.
Because one of the things they're trying to do, at least my understanding of short time I've been around is, we keep talking about cross-training these guys in the water and sewer. And if you cross-train them, that means people should be able to, once they're properly trained, go out and do proper inspections.
Right.
And if they can do the inspection, they should be able to sign that they did it, but then a supervisor can countersign. I think that's a simplistic
Mhm.
process.
But those are, again, still simple for a curb to house.
Right.
And main the
subdivision-
curb, we're gonna be involved in anyway.
Subdivision is a different,
But a subdivision is
Subdivision is a
far
totally-
more
You're right, there
involved.
should be a qualified engineer.
It should be a PE stamping it, and they have to see and they'll require all the pressure tests, the bacteria tests, all that stuff is done right through them. And it takes the liability off George, it takes the liability off Mike or whoever, it should be done with a professional
Take some of it
engineer.
off the town.
And they should be doing as-bills, so that we have a record of what's in the ground. Because right now, he took the plan back, but we have no idea if that, we say leave it there, but if someone 15 years down the road says, oh yeah, there's a pipe there, we can extend through there, and now we can loop
We
it.
do our tie-ins by way of when we put the meters in the houses, re-tie, make the ties, and we know where the pipe is, we know the shut-offs and.
Yeah, you do your tie cards,
Yeah,
right.
we do all our tie.
And that's normal,
And the main
but-
is, we know where the main is when it goes in. So we make ties to the main or where to here.
Right, but
That's
what
all
you
we
don't
need.
do is when you're tying in the water, you're not digging back and finding out if it's 10 feet from the sewer. So they could have the sewer, like that guy that came in for Tanya Road, no, what road is, Healy Road? Oh, can I?
Dudley Road?
Huh?
oh, no,
Dudley Hill.
no,
No,
the
Right?
Bud Drive,
I think the other.
Oh, the one going down by, it was by Drive, yeah.
yeah.
The one that wanted to dig the trench and put the water and sewer in the same line.
Oh, no, that's
That's-
Mason Road
That
extension.
was right here.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
But, I mean, we don't know if this guy was that guy and he, we got a trench, just put the water and sewer in this, we got the force main, just put it in the same as the,
Yeah, no.
so you have
can't
no
do that.
idea.
That's why we say to them every time, make sure you do your permit and you get an inspection done while it's open, so we
Right.
see it.
And then you go to the
Thing, Mr.
admin.
Chairman, is a point that's been brought out, this is probably the second, third time I've heard the report, and that is, the planning board is approving and signing off things without consulting
Yes,
or communicating with the water and sewer.
Right.
And the
that's-
town administrator
that's
is
the-
doing the same thing
that's-
It's a meeting right now.
without
That's the,
communicating.
the issue with subdivisions. Once subdivision, it gets into the subdivision process, that needs to be fixed.
But that's.
Because any changes to water mains, water pipes, sewer pipes, it has to come through us.
Well, that's
So,
the thing, that
it
they were
has to.
opening discussions on this goddamn mill down here. And somebody was talking, the developer was looking to have the water and sewer thing all paid for by the town. And I asked the question, is the water and sewer sitting on this goddamn discussion? We weren't,
No.
because nobody thought to bring us into, we're an independent fund.
Right.
We're
But-
supposed to be able to
Yep.
self-pay for our stuff, and nobody else can make obligations for that fund except this board supposedly.
So on, like, the planning board stuff, I mean, the planning board signs off on the plans
Right,
to show that they signed off.
right.
I mean, I would say we should probably write a letter saying that George has to sign the actual Mylars or however they're doing their plans, but the plans, wherever they sign, there's another line that water sewer signs off on it.
Right.
Just to show that he's looked at those plans, because planning board's saying, oh, George signed off on these plans, but George is looking at plans that may have been 2 sets ago,
Right.
and he's writing a letter saying, yeah, based on these plans, but if you sign the actual
But if there's no
plans,
signature on there,
right, so there's no
Plan should be
signature there.
numbered. You should have a special number on each plan that they submit, so that the plan coincides with what we're
They do.
signing.
Yeah, there should be a revision.
A re-
you know.
you know,
I
the
sign off on
revision of plan
revision
number-
3.
okay,
Whatever.
Revision 3 dated June 6th, whatever, you know.
okay, so
That's
that,
what you should be signing off on.
we're gonna have to bring that, yeah.
Gonna be another Eisenhower.
We've gotta, so this is
So that's why I
going to
just
be
wanted to eliminate it.
on,
Don't connect it, and you
what
don't
was the
have
date
that
that we
issue.
set for that meeting?
No, but.
Seven,
Sewer.
6:15.
15 June?
But those are all
Yep.
individual pump stations, so it's
7
really
PM.
just the
At
force
7
main that you're on the
PM.
hook for, but.
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
Still, we
and-
might have to date it. fix
So,
it.
because it's not even on our agenda to discuss all of this. 15
Are you
June,
available
7
for that
PM.
meeting?
We'll deal with his permits. He can get, pulled together his paperwork, we can make sure,
Yep,
reconfirm everything we've got in
absolutely.
the next week. And then we can also discuss further what with the planning process and everything to get that,
I got a meeting scheduled
The
for
firmament.
6:15.
the f-
I don't know what, I forgot what it is. But
Okay,
whatever, we can do.
I'll
well,
look, I'll
So-
make sure
So
that,
tentatively 7 o'clock.
I'll clarify
pending
everything.
you-
cl- clarify everything and then we'll work it.
Absolutely.
Okay, the next agenda item is the PFAS litigation proposals. Since last month, we got 2 more proposals for legal representation. So
So do we get 2 more?
we
Yes.
got 2 more. One of them is dated June 2nd, the other one's
Yeah.
dated June 9th.
They both should be in your packet, all three of
All
them.
3 of them are. The retainer template, which is from John Giorgio, that's KP Law. Then we've got one Kennedy Madonna, and we've got one for R. Sandman,
Okay.
RRS Law, RRS Law. So, yeah, and should have seen that coming, that, everybody's getting in on this, and it's gonna end up being pulled into a class action, but do we need to, we really need to look at these and make sure we've got the best.
Well, to be honest, I don't think any of us are qualified to review these and determine
No.
what the best. This would, has either of the other 2 been sent to town council?
No, they haven't, one of them just came in today.
Yep.
And then the other one of them, I guess, has represented the town for the MTBE, whatever, issue a number of years ago,
Yep.
as well as other things too. So I don't know who's best to deal with.
That's what I was saying. I would send them all over to town council and let them review and decide which one's the best option for the town.
Okay, that's, that is a good idea. So
Just
can
like
we,
fish you off the when you look at it, because no matter what the figure is for their fee, the commission fee, it's that's plus expenses.
Yeah.
And so whatever they put out is an expense, and they get 100% reimbursement.
yeah,
So if you go for a 25% fee or 33 and a third percent fee, you could already be given 60% away in expenses.
in expenses, yeah,
And then they're gonna get 25, and this is off the gross.
okay,
So if you go home with 12, 15% in your pocket, you're gonna be doing good.
okay.
Plus, it depends on how many people going on the bandwagon.
All right, so,
It's terrible.
so let's send this off to, send these off to town council. Bob's right, we don't have none of us have the legal acumen to be able to deal with that.
Okay.
Okay, policy review. We've had these policies, in our hands for a couple of, huh?
They're in there.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're in there. The three of them, the connection permit extension, water theft policy, and final read, final bill.
So I think we probably need to put more effort into the connection permit extension.
Yes,
Just, I mean, because that seems to be the one that pops up
right.
more times than not.
And it needs to be uniform for water and sewer.
Right. And I think,
But the water theft policy,
I know we need to adjust the numbers, like I said, when I did mine,
yes,
I put them high, but,
whatever we're legally allowed to
right.
charge. And then the final bill, and this is ongoing. This is how we've been doing it anyways, is it not?
With the exception of the changes of if it's within 5 business days, it's $100. Changing, if it's
Oh,
within
yes,
3 business
okay.
days, $200, because, like, I got a call today for a final tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if you want to do it that quick, then, yeah.
And that's my point, is
Right.
if,
That's what you say, we're not available.
Right.
but if they want it done at that speed, it's worth telling Brian, hey,
Yeah.
does Brian know how to do a final read?
Oh, yeah.
So, but they're putting an inconvenience, and Brian is slated to work on a treatment plant. Now he's gotta come in, so that's why the fee goes up. If you need it in a
Yeah.
rush,
If you want it within 5 days,
Then
it's
you're
gonna be
gonna
$100.
pay additional
Otherwise, it's
fees.
50.
but even less than that, if it goes
Okay,
below
yep.
3 days, like this one.
Well, can we vote on these to get them on the books?
Right, I think Bob's right, though, the first one there, the connection permit extension, we need a little more work on that. I need to be able to talk that through a little bit better.
And I don't have a problem sitting here talking through it during the meeting to make amendments, but, I mean, this is kind of a long meeting.
Yep.
And we still have more things on the list.
Right, I want to get through there's a couple of them that are important.
Did you want to put it on the 15th meeting, where that's going to be quicker?
Doesn't matter to me.
Do we want to is it, we can handle the policies, these policies and yeah, that's the permit extension, that's actually, that is that
Yeah.
process, so why, that's not a bad idea. I do want to I don't want that to be another 3-hour meeting.
No, but if you just put
But
those
yeah,
2 things.
just deal with that, and it'll all be fresh,
Okay.
and we can take care of it.
And you don't need to bang them all out in one meeting either. I mean, if you
No.
want to pick one,
Yep.
I wanna
hammer
get
through
the-
it, the final read. I know you want to get the permit and the extension, the one done.
I want to
Yes.
get, because I know it's on the book somewhere,
Right.
but I want it redone, and I would like to see the same thing for water.
Yeah, well, that's the way I wrote that
Yes.
one, was it covered both.
Yeah, they have to come back,
Yeah.
okay.
But I think we need to work on the language and make sure it's solid.
It's 15th.
You know what I mean? So that when he comes in and says, oh, well, I don't know, I bought it as a project and it was all approved. So, yeah, no, well,
Okay.
Yeah,
he says it's not his problem, it's our problem, but
it's not our problem.
it's not our problem, it's his problem. Ultimately, it's his problem
Oh,
regardless.
yeah, that part of it is, yes. The permits his problem. This whole thing with the
Right.
fire department and the planning board and all of that, that's a town
Yeah.
problem. Okay, next was the water ban, moratorium and water ban. I had Jen, I looked it up, found this in the town bylaws. This is from our town bylaws adopted on May 22nd of 2002. That is our water ban moratorium bylaw. We may need to look at that, or we probably should look at that and be ready to make a decision with the blending and everything this summer if we start running into a problem. How far do we want to go? It's all listed there. There are violations and penalties for penalties for violating a water ban, outdoor water use ban. It does spell out how it's done, so please review it, and actually we can take care of that as part of that whole policy review thing, and think about. I just want it to be on our minds about what we're doing for water conservation, and if we have to initiate anything new or anything temporary while we're dealing with the PFAS issue.
And we may need to request something from DEP. Because,
Sent it something.
We already
Well,
sent
that's-
it on a
Right.
plate.
yeah, that's
Okay.
different, though. You're doing it under your Water Management Act permit.
Yeah,
on a-
but
on
if you're
a-
talking about a special act. through
That's a
DEP,
voluntary
yeah.
water restriction.
We're not there yet. We're actually seeing, we're actually gonna be.
Yeah, we can voluntarily say that, at this point, we're banning outdoor water use, period.
But,
Or
well,
odd even, or,
it's based on his Water Permit Act that he's initiated, because we're supposed to have one in place every year from May 1st to September 30th anyway. But he's basing that on the Water Management Act permit. But this is based on a declaration of state of water supply conservation. That's based on, if you continue to read it, it tells you in there that,
we have to send something to DEP to let them know that we're doing
so
it.
you have to let them know that. But if you look at the 287-12, upon notification to the public that a declaration of state of water has been issued by the Department of Environmental Protection. So that's by DEP. DEP, the way this is written is, when DEP declares that we're in a state of water emergency. So the Drought Task Force, I think they didn't get to that point yet in Massachusetts. There's like 3 different states that they go through, or different levels they go through.
Yeah, okay, that's a state of water supply emergency. Over here in 287, 8, and 9, that's a declaration of state of water supply conservation.
Well,
Conservation
Right.
as opposed to an emergency. We're not letting it get to an emergency stage. We're saying,
yeah,
we want to, under these things, outdoor water ban, outdoor watering is prohibited.
yeah,
That's B. Odd even days is A. C is outdoor watering hours. You set specific hours where
Yep.
outdoor watering can be. We can do that locally.
yeah.
We may need to do something like that if we end up in a drought and we end up, the numbers aren't being friendly. So I just wanted everybody to be aware that there is a bylaw that is a town, one of our town bylaws.
Does it say who enforces it?
That is the one thing that I noticed in there that isn't there. Dash 13, it sets out fees, amount of $50 for first violation and $100 for subsequent violations. That fits within what you said was the 300 limit, but it doesn't say anything about who actually enforces that, or, and it goes to district court.
Right.
You small claims it.
Yeah, so it doesn't say that.
Fine shall be recovered by indictment, so you have to go to court for it.
Yeah.
Or, unless they decide to just pay it anyways. But there is violation, there is penalties built into this, so. you know, we may want to look at that too and see if there's something we want to change. That's a town bylaw, so that has to be changed.
That's
Changed
through town meeting
differently.
vote, and yeah,
So that goes to town meeting.
yep,
But that's actually got the teeth of DEP in it in certain parts.
yep.
Okay,
Where do we stand on water?
Right now, we stand pretty good. We're actually bumping up Station 7 pumpage, and then my goal is to
Yeah.
bump Station 6 down a little bit.
Well-
Because I'm past my management over there as far as my limitations. So I've already talked to DEP. Now, of course, you know as well as I do, they don't like sending back emails when we send them emails. But Bob's been told, he understands that I'm overdrawing on 6Fs this month. And I need a waiver for that overdraw if you want me to keep me at these levels. However, now that we've met our PFAS
Right, you should be able to raise your,
we're bumping it up even another 50. We're going 50-50 at well 7. I just did another round of testing today, brought it down to the lab. So I'm expecting those results in 2 weeks or so. So that's gonna, you know, and now, the only question I have, maybe you can know this more than I do, is they issued the notification. Now, call it as a notification. Now, do they withdraw that notification, or just upon another incident over the MCL, do they issue another one? See, you put out that into the public, now, we've been blending for this long, like the time for this quarter, now, do we get a letter stating, you know, the department is now not exceeding the limits and are maintaining,
No.
see, that's the.
you don't
that's
get
the crux of
anything.
it.
no.
If you exceed again,
I get another notice.
you'll get another
Yeah.
notice, and you have to put out
See,
another
I-
notice to all the residents.
When you, and I'm not gonna get into what they call it, everybody knows it, but I don't agree with that type of policy. You put something out there,
Well, that's-
you're now,
It's not something we can change.
no, but I'm just saying, it's kind of an unfair policy, you know. You should be able to put out that.
You
okay,
can,
We can certainly.
you can send a letter out stating that we've done, you know, we've initiated a blending, and results have come back within the state limits.
And we may want to do that.
So
with the
I've
next billing
already
cycle.
made mention of that at the meetings, at the, you know, on the TV, so people
Right.
are aware.
People are aware of it,
And that's as far as I
but-
let it. We're meeting the state requirements now.
But there's nothing in
That's all I can
there's
say.
nothing in DEP's requirements that,
No.
that say you have to submit a notice to let everybody know you're not in violation.
Yeah.
With the next billing cycle, probably should put a stuffer in saying saying that.
Well, the only problem with that is if then we have a problem again and we have
But
to
the-
jump 7 up, you know, too much.
But
and then
we have to.
But you're gonna.
We have to be open with the public. We can't
You gotta let 'em know.
just because it might change. This is what it is as of today. And then we'll deal with it.
And I'm not clear on and I've read through that stupid regulation 400 times, but I'm not clear on the public education portion.
I'm worried about doing
If-
something that may,
If you exceed one sample to go over the 20,
you know,
you're required to do the public education, but you've already done the public education, so theoretically, you know, you don't graduate high school and then go back and take
Yeah,
eighth
go
grade
back and-
over
yeah.
again because you forgot.
yeah.
You know, we've already educated them. So if you
Right.
exceed again in the 1 month, I'm not sure if they're gonna try to require to.
It's a quarterly average. That's what they
Right,
said.
but if you, in the regulation, if you exceed 20 in any sample, you have to do public education, which was the first notice that was sent
Right,
out with,
yeah.
and everybody went bananas.
Everybody knows.
Because the language in there is horrible.
Right.
And, but the notice of noncompliance was the second one we had to send out.
Right.
That one we have to repeat anytime we exceed it again, not
For
the
a-
single
for a quarterly
monthly, for a
average.
quarterly
Right.
average. So he could get one exceedance that's, say, 25, but you're not exceeding, you're not violating.
The quarterly
Because
average.
it's a quarterly average, and all you do is drop your flow back down at 7,
And then
increase your
sample
6.
again, I get a faster average of, again, another sampling of.
Well, you could grab another one that same month to try to bring the monthly
Bring monthly.
sample down, but you're still, even if you exceed the monthly, if your next 2 months in the quarter are fine, and it averages below 20, you're not in noncompliance.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know if they're gonna require that public education again if you exceed one.
So we'll have to find.
They're
have to find
monitoring it
out.
very carefully with us, so they're gonna definitely let us know if there's something that puts up a red flag.
We should find out for sure if we're required to have another, public education
Right.
if there is if we exceed 20. I tend to agree that it's probably not. Everybody knows that we've
You've
got.
educated the public, you should be done with the education portion. And now
But we
it's
need to
just
let them know that we are doing something and these are the results.
Right.
And, you know, if you know, DEP tells us we have to spin everybody up, you know, there's gonna be a problem if DEP says we can't let them know that everything is better.
Well, that's becoming on the consumer confidence report anyway, we're gonna be putting on all that PFAS information.
Okay.
So we'll be
But, yeah.
Yeah, do you have that done yet?
Next bills go out when?
30th, Tuesday.
We're reading July 1st, but they probably won't go out till like the
Okay.
second week in August.
So the July meeting, we can talk about, we will have we'll have another couple more sets of results. By then, we'll have a good idea, and you'll have played with pressures to see if we can get better, see what our results are, so we'll have a better idea to be able to make a decision then. Okay, anything more on that? True-up summary. We did finally get a letter from Brinkman, Paul Brinkman Infrastructure Consulting. And there is his proposal is the first 2 pages, and the second page, the third page is a letter, a suggested letter, a letter template to be sent on letterhead to Webster, asking for information and informing them that we have retained his services, if we choose to do so.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should.
When I saw, you know, it knocked me over when I saw what he was saying, that his total fee, that's almost a no-brainer.
That's what I said.
To me.
I make a motion, we accept the proposal.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to accept the proposal of Brinkman Infrastructure Consulting. Any further discussion?
I would say we should send a letter as well.
Let's make it separate.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
carries
I'd like to make a
unanimously.
motion to put this letter on this letterhead and send it over to Webster, certified mail.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. There was something that I had noticed that I thought should be fixed in that. There's some spelling mistakes. Obviously, my name is spelt wrong.
I'll take
My
care of
my
that.
name is spelt wrong.
Yeah, I saw
He
that.
added an L at the end. I don't know.
Can we just amend this, if it's okay, if we get in touch with Paul to give him that?
Well, this is our letter. This is just a suggestion.
But yeah, the letter we sent to Webster.
Yep.
If it's okay with Paul to have his number on it, so that they can call him. So it says we request that you be available to speak with Mr. Franklin.
Well, that's for them to be available to speak with him when he calls them for questions.
Right.
It's not necessary, we don't really want to authorize them to call him, because if they call him directly and have him on the phone for 20 hours, we're on the hook for his bill.
Right.
So it should go through us if they
Well,
have questions, and we can forward it to him.
Okay?
And then he's having all the information sent to our office here, and then we would get it to him. So that's a good idea, anyways, for a paper trail.
Mhm.
And it is Tom Andrade is the right person for Webster? I know they changed hands, didn't they? Didn't they change the superintendent?
Yeah, this isn't the superintendent, this is their commission. I'm not sure who the board members are.
Webster
They
has a
haven't
water sewer
changed yet,
commission?
yeah.
Oh, I thought that was all done with the town administrator.
Town administrator is the.
Town manager, rather.
Yeah, the superintendents report to him, but they still have a board.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, never mind then. All right. I don't think I've ever dealt with them. I've always dealt with somebody directly at the plant.
Right. But
Okay,
They
um,
currently don't have a superintendent.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So to send this letter off on letterhead.
You have, Tom made a motion, I need a second?
Yep.
I second.
Motion's been made and
Sorry.
seconded.
I missed that, sorry.
I guess that's all,
Certified. Return
yeah,
receipt.
certified.
Yep,
Return receipt?
yep,
With grammar corrections.
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay,
If you want to just check to make sure that's the right chairman.
I will, absolutely.
yeah, make sure that, yeah.
Yes.
anything that needs to be changed can be changed, and,
I'll leave your name the same, though.
yeah. And then, if it needs to be signed, I'll come in and sign it. That's easy enough. Yes, okay. All right. Superintendent's report?
Mr. Chairman, before you get into it, this letter from Louis Tripp,
Yes.
we discussed that.
Yeah, I saw this and I wouldn't even know, I wouldn't even know what to do with it.
I mean,
Well,
coming under a sewer plant is one thing, but you can assure that somewhere down the line in the aquifers, there's some indirect influence, if there's some kind of major underground water stream coming out of that.
Oh, yeah.
But, I know what he's saying, but we can't utilize something like that under a sewer plant, how he's saying it. I wasn't around, but Mike said that they did in fact have an abundance of water under the sewer plant at one time, where it raised the actual
But
building up.
I'm not saying we have to actually put the well in the building, but in that area, if there's water.
well,
Well, we're actually in that area with our wells now.
Oh, that's right across the street from.
The aquifers all intertwined, and
Station
there's some
3.
indirect influences through that. So
That's right.
we're benefiting from whatever's coming in as far as flows go. We have plenty of water at Station 3. Station 6 was kind of the issue we wanted to,
and I can tell you, they didn't test that to drinking water quality standards. They just tested it to make sure they could take the water and pump it, run a well and pump it into a river while they're trying to do their construction. So that's just to make sure it wasn't contaminated with oil and hazardous waste and everything else.
Yep.
It's not gonna go to the level of testing for Pfas and
Right.
they weren't even testing that back then.
No.
I'm curious to see if they're testing any type of PFAS for the sewer now, and I was going to
That's,
Jamie
that's,
on that.
I mean, at this point, that will come in, I think that's gonna be more likely to come into play. Because our wells are drilled over there already anyways.
But DEP's not gonna sign off on a new well
No.
if a wastewater plant is
Right
within a
there.
400-foot radius.
No.
And it's
So-
not- it doesn't meet any of the requirements. I
what
appreciate his effort.
What this might be is kept as information when it comes time to start looking for where PFAS might be coming from. That's a water source coming through that area. Yeah, it's good information, I guess, but what we would do with it, I don't know. We can hold it as information. Okay, your superintendent's report?
If any guys have any
Any-
questions on it,
Okay.
it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, nothing.
The only change, the big thing is gonna be a PRV vault, to see what, we can put in on that Mason Road, replace the old vault
Yeah,
that we
that-
got there.
that
Make a
has to
more
be done.
condensed vault,
That makes
something
sense.
very simple, easy. We're just gonna get it set up where we're gonna decide how we can put it, how we can rig it, how we can tie it into the stuff. We're not there yet. It's still gonna go through process. And once we present the actual cost involved, then we bring it to the board, be voted for a change order in the cost of it. I think if you're gonna do that project, you might as well change it out and do the right thing and take care of everything at once. Because that is a vital thing to have for the two zones to meet and to regulate. I'll keep you posted on that. Everything else is pretty well straightforward.
Okay, we've already done public comments. Any board member comments? Bob? Tom? Bill? I have a couple. Jen, you're doing work for other departments again?
No, was taking paperwork for conservation. Jill is covering conservation, so I'm teaching her.
Okay,
So Ty and Bond did contact me. They're supposed to be moving the phone over to her, so I don't get the conservation calls anymore.
okay.
So she did the meeting,
You, Ty and Bond?
yeah, because they were. going in
Oh,
front of
change,
us.
they changed the number in their
Yeah,
files. Okay, yeah, all right.
So, that's all.
Okay.
So I still get a few straggling things.
I heard that last week
yeah.
and then it
But,
came up again tonight.
No, Jill has taken
Because
that
that
away.
needs to be
Yes.
documented,
Yep.
tabulated, and we need to keep track of that.
And when I was doing it, was done all on, it was after 4
Okay.
evenings, weekends, so they're
But
well aware.
there should be reimbursement
Yep.
for that time.
It was well
Okay, as long as that's being taken care of.
Yeah, but I no longer,
Okay. Just want to be sure, do want to avoid,
but now I don't have a
Issues.
health agent, so, you know,
yeah,
Not our problem.
that's
That's my
not a
problem.
problem, that's your problem, yeah.
that's my problem.
After 4.
Oh, wait, after 4
yeah.
or before
It's your
7?
problem, but not in this room.
Oh, no.
So, and one other thing, if by chance anything really, really strange happens on Monday, it has been a pleasure and it continues to be a pleasure to work with this board to provide the best water to Dudley, to keep the clean water going into the houses and the dirty water coming out, as I like to say. But elections are on Monday, and stranger things have happened. Both Jay and I are running unopposed, and I haven't heard of any kind of write-in campaign, so.
Who wants this headache?
But, yeah, you know, to be, my wife keeps saying, why don't you give this up? But in any case, I just want to say, it's a pleasure. It's always been a pleasure. We don't do this for the money. It's, but it is, it's always been rewarding to be able to do something for the good. I am a water user, I am a sewer user, and the only benefit I get out of sitting here is clean water, and my sewer, my toilets still keep flowing out of the house. So,
With that, Mr.
Well,
Chairman,
good luck.
make a motion to adjourn.
One second, I just wanted to, on
Okay.
the, number 17, you had union negotiations finished?
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
went good. I was involved in that. Per John, I said I'd like to be part of it because they need clarification on it. So we came up with a good plan. The job descriptions are in with the way they're supposed to be, what the compensations are gonna be. Timmy and Mike are also taken care of properly. The only issue will come in is any new hire will be under the new combined job descriptions along with the job title. So if, say, Mike steps out, it retires, his position will be changed a little bit to be combined water and sewer. So when Timmy moves up in that place, he'll have all the credentials anyway, you know, plus licenses and stuff. And same when Timmy's position, when he moves into the other one, say, that will be changed over for a combined position element. Plus, what's his name? James will be qualified by that time to move into that position if he wants. So we're looking at streamlining things to make sure we get licensed people.
So we have copies of the new job descriptions that were approved?
They just approved the thing. I don't know when they're doing the final. They have to review it and everything. This was just done
so
recently.
is that done?
It's been approved by them. They have to go back and double check some
So it
fine
still
tuning.
needs to be ratified too, doesn't it?
It still needs to be voted on by the membership?
Yeah, they got everything they want. They're happy with what they've gotten in this.
What did we get?
What did who get?
Well, they got everything they wanted. How did?
How-
Us being
how-
a manager-
how did
I mean,
management-
the highway and I mean, I can't speak on union stuff, but, I mean, they were happy with what they were presented. There was some stuff that wasn't gonna be allowed and other stuff that was allowed. I think they got a good deal going. We did fine on our side to get what we wanted and what we needed, and,
What did we get?
So as management, I think that, the way we were shooting for anyway, that's why I wanted to know if we got copies of the new job descriptions, was to get the proper jobs in place.
yeah, my job
Primary operator,
descriptions that I have
secondary
there
operator.
are the ones that are being, we're gonna have a primary operator, secondary operator, defined as a secondary operator,
Yeah.
we're a laborer operator, and so, and then on the
And the
sewer.
laborer operator will be licensed?
That's correct. And,
Okay.
and on the sewer side, they will be compensated to maintain their licenses, because right now they could just throw it in the trash. There's no thing saying they have to have it.
Okay, that's-
And that's, now they're gonna maintain it, and we're gonna move forward after that to combine.
And how much is this gonna cost us?
Not much at all. Pretty reasonable. $500 for the year to maintain that license.
How much?
Oh, they put it in as a stipend rather than okay,
How much is the salaries going?
That's on the union side. I can't say.
that's
something-
probably
Well, it's
2%,
I don't,
3%,
I didn't
2%,
deal, yeah, it's
3%,
basically
that's typically.
2%. They set the thing, and like I said, I don't like.
That's the one thing that I, year after year after year, My beef has been that we don't have a seat at the table,
Well,
but we have to pay for it.
but that was one of my issues, is that we asked at a selectmen's meeting, and they agreed
And I was
that we
told
would have a seat at the table.
face to face by one of the current sitting selectmen that we would have, you want a seat at the table, you got it.
Well, it was said at a
Quote, unquote, and we
selectmen's
didn't get
meeting
it.
that we were at.
But that's fine.
I was the only one there at the
That's
table
fine. I
with
just-
them, and so.
I
that
just
was-
don't,
To
you know,
make
it's-
sure we got what we needed.
If it turns out that something didn't go through the way that we wanted it, then we'll fight for it.
It's been a long road with that whole thing. I'll tell you, I
Yeah.
worked on this last year, and to make sure they understood.
The
it
job
took a while, but
descriptions,
they
the
did.
job descriptions are the big thing,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
That is in place.
And how much it's gonna cost us, but they agreed to stipends, then
Yeah, and
so be
it didn't go way out of line, so the cost factor wasn't anything crazy or anything like that. It was all done. I'm pretty happy with how it went, and everybody was happy with how
So we're paying them $500 a year to keep their license?
one individual is gonna maintain his license at $500 stipend for the year, for each year, to maintain it. Because if we have to get
So
some
what's entailed to maintain it? Classes?
classes,
Are we paying
TCHs,
for the
yeah.
classes?
Yes.
We pay for them, he has to attend them and do them, so he has to
So
go
we're
to.
paying for the classes
Yeah.
and $500.
That's correct. Yep,
We're paying them to attend them.
yep, to
And
attend.
we pay the license renewals, right?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, we pay for all, we've always paid for all of that.
That's a bargain for what it takes to get a license operator, because they're not even offering the classes
Okay.
really right now.
I don't wanna go too deep into it
Let's do adjourn.
in public
The
meetings. so.
Tri-Valley thing,
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tri-Valley, yes.
Checked out by Toomey, all set. The meter was fine.
The meter is fine.
Yeah.
So everybody else is on the same page. I had a conversation with one of the contractors for the mill project. And I asked him if they see anything that indicates a pipe goes from one building to the other, to just keep us in the back of their mind so that we might find where that water went, because the water flowed somewhere. And, a $9,000 water bill that's not an overflowing toilet. That's
I thought it was the aquifer for Grizzly.
that's some significant water, so where it's coming from, who knows? So, anyways,
A second.
okay.
What was the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.